now it should be live. Sorry, I pressed the button and it didn't connect, but I'm gonna go fast, very fast. So, episode 40 of Game Player, I'm gonna introduce our guest. Go ahead, Ellie. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Introduce yourself, because now you're
Oh,
live.
sorry, my bad.
No, it's
Hello
okay.
everybody. My name is Deli. I'm a former AAA game developer at Ubisoft. I was a level designer, and now I hang out here on GameSlayer.
Well, you have also your own channel, right?
Yeah, I do. I just kind of post like willy nilly stuff. It's not anything crazy. I'm mostly most active on Twitter. I've been on like vacation these last couple weeks, so I'll be coming back to work here shortly. But yeah, I'm mostly active on Twitter under twitter.com/agentdeli.
Okay, gotcha. What you been playing?
I've been playing Sable. I've been playing Stray, and I've been playing. I'm about to start Dragon Age Origins, the Ultimate Edition.
Okay. And Nate, how are you, dude? What you been playing?
Yeah, man. No, I've been good. I'm just obviously all over the timeline with Live Alive and
Don't you
you know,
dare.
yeah, it's been hella fun. Um I mean, obviously it's right up my alley. I mean, it's a full-blown RPG with multiple different attacking points, whether different combat systems and stuff like that. And so far just a really great story, well thought out dialogue. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. I'm still working my way through my previous playthrough on Persona 5, the original, not Royale, because everybody's playing Royale. I already have the platinum for that. Um, and then, of course, still getting through the engrossing but incredibly long story of 13 Sentinels.
Are you done? Or almost? Or still not yet?
I'm gonna say like 70%. Like
Oh,
it's starting to come together.
yeah? I
Yeah,
told you. And wait until the end and then you're gonna have a wow moment. Too
I'm
bad
ready for it.
Kay is not playing it anymore. Otherwise, I would have loved to sit down and have a conversation about it. Because just how we did with The Last of Us 2, this deserves its own conversation.
I think we'll get to it eventually once everybody settles back in, around her, and she'll be good to go.
Ghost, how are you, man? What you been playing?
Man, what's up? It's this is Ghost and Shell 55, the hardcorest non-gamer in the building.
I love
Uh,
that.
I've been playing Ghost Recon Wildlands, and I have been playing Ghost of Tsushima, and
Oh,
just plodding through it. And I
third
just
time?
recently, no, I've been had it, but I take my time with the games.
Mm,
Oh, so this man said
Um,
he's playing
I
some
beat,
fire. Finally, I see you.
you know, I beat Cyberpunk 2077, which
so,
honestly, really damn good game. Really damn good game.
I
let me
know.
ask
I
you
So,
love
this
that. I
then.
love that game.
When you retire, which you're gonna do soon, are you gonna
hmm
turn into a hardcore gamer? Because you have so many games you want to finish. Or the fun
I'll
police is
still,
not gonna allow it.
yeah, the Fun Police definitely not gonna allow it, but I will game more. But, but I'm gonna enjoy, man. Just not doing nothing, man. So I'm spending a lot of time with my little one, and I'm a game with her because she's real. She's actually getting more involved with gaming, and I'm gonna chill. I'm always gonna play the games how I want to play them. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty of when you buy your games. You can take your time with them, and I don't need to speed run them or speed rush through them, and just truly enjoy them.
Okay, Weeb, how are you, man? What have you been playing?
Hey, what's up? I'm good. I'm still playing AI 2 or I2, the Somnium Files, the Nirvana initiative. Yeah, I really want to play Stray, but I really need to see how this ends because the first game was so good in terms of story. Second game doesn't disappoint either. I'm close to the end, but not quite. So I'll keep on playing until I see how everything fits together. And
Oh,
yeah, I highly recommend it.
so it's not really a long game then, or is it?
I well, define long because I think I already have 40 hours in it.
40?
Yeah,
No way.
yeah, it's a pretty packed game. I mean, the story is pretty extensive, and there's a lot of stuff to do. And you know me, I want to try getting the plat,
Dude.
so I'm also
Ah,
getting all
okay, that
the.
explains it. But still, you're killing me. I was gonna play Stray, finish Stray, and then, or rather, continue play Stray, finish, and then start AI, thinking it's a 10-15 hour game. 40? Boy, I'm screwed. Okay, we will see. Okay,
You have a lot to look forward to, Omar.
sorry?
Don't worry. You have a lot to look forward to. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know. Does it have voice acting? Because that's what I love the most.
Yes,
Japanese dub?
I think both Japanese and English dub.
Nice. Okay, Viper, how are you, man?
Hey, what's
Officially
going on? What's going
a
on?
panel
What's
member,
going
eh?
on?
Officially a panel member. Welcome to the
Yeah,
crew.
how's it going, Ghost, Weeb, everybody?
So, what you been
Um,
playing?
you probably saw it. I'm on Ruinverse right now. Ruinverse is a little niche in the corner RPG not many people know about. Um, but I've also played a little Stray, just to get a feel for it. I would like to finish it, but I think that's on the back burner until I finish Ruinverse.
Mm.
Uh, Been trying to sneak in some more Sniper Elite, but I haven't gotten to it. But those are the three that I'm mainly focusing on right now, as you can tell by the long numbered list that I have of games that I gotta get to.
Oh yeah, I enjoy every time you tweet that stuff. I retweet it and liked it. I'm loving your mic. You're way more clearer than last week. Last week I had no idea what's happening. You had a few
Oh,
issues.
last week I didn't know that the Sony's H9, you could take the boom mic and move it far away from your mouth.
Ah, okay, that explains it. Okay, so my question for you when it comes to the game you're playing, I've seen it. There is also RPG Golf, which I'm definitely gonna play. Um, I have interacted with this studio before, Camco, whatever it's called, and they overload their games with microtransactions and loot boxes. Does this game have it? Does any of the games that you have played have it?
Oh no, no, no! I make it a point to not play games that don't have it. Now I would play games like Assassin's Creed that do have it, but I ain't spending my money on that shit.
Okay, because they literally put what's called characters behind paywall. That's what I'm not fan of.
Oh,
Uh,
I just won something on Six Podcast. Give me a second. I know
okay,
he gives us like 5 minutes to collect whatever we're getting. I'm sorry.
sure, go ahead, do so. No, it's okay, congrats.
Thank you.
Say hi to Tick. Um, as for me, so I started game sharing with someone that was very generous of doing so, and I started Stray. I couldn't. I I didn't want to put it down, but I put it down because the heat and me and Delhi we were talking about it. The heat was so terrible that and Stray is such a slow game. I couldn't focus anymore. I had to do something exciting. So I downloaded what's called Nobody Saves the World. And let's just say all my characters are now rank S. All that's left for me is to finish the last few uh, what's called um, quest, and then finish the game. I love it. I'm loving it. It's just my the biggest weakness is the story. The story is almost non-existent. It's paper thin. The game gets carried by its gameplay. And if you love versatility, then this is a game for you. If you love a game where you can play at one character and then you switch in a matter of seconds to a different character and that have a totally different gameplay style, then this game for you. Be prepared though, there is a lot of backtracking. There is minor Metroidvania elements to it. I take that back, almost non Metroidvania action. And yeah, um, I really recommend this game. Just so, not solely. We do indies most of the time are hit and miss. So with this one, it's a gem, and I recommend it.
I mean, I've heard that from a number of people that have played it, so
One,
I mean, I'm sure it
oh,
definitely is.
yeah, 1 second, Nate. Lady Morgan, I never said Stray is a bad game. I said I couldn't play Stray because it's too slow, while the heat was killing me. I was enjoying Stray. And a matter of fact, I'm gonna finish Stray and get the platinum, hopefully. Shout out to Morgan. She was the very first one to get the plat. Then Kay followed. And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
I told her she might have actually placed if it wasn't for a bunch of people getting it early.
yeah. Um, um, when it comes to what's called everyone that is playing live, I hate you guys. I hope that the very first bus kill you all. I'm joking. I'm just not bit. I'm not sad. I'm just frustrated that I can play it. I hope that comes to PlayStation because I'm more frustrated with with Square Enix than Nintendo. Shout out to Nintendo for even giving the opportunity for people like Nate to play it. But how can Square Enix miss the mark that much with this game? Nate, explain it for me, or rather even Daily. You're a developer. How can a publisher like this look at a game like this so versatile? I understand it's an old game and before um what's called before it was released in Japan. But we're living in a new day and age. Some games that used to be hated in the past are now called beloved. So why not put the energy in publishing the game for Europe and the rest of the world? Delhi. And Nate, I'm curious.
Um, honestly, I have no idea. I can't give you a clear cut answer for that. It could be possible that the markets and the regions aren't really popular with the game. I'm sure they have metrics and stuff, and they have polls and statistics that they can gauge throughout the throughout their time inside the company and throughout with the IP. I know for the longest time, what's it called?
Octopath?
Dragon Quest.
Oh.
Well, a longest time, Dragon Quest wasn't published in the West, and that's a lot of the reason why Final Fantasy got popular because Final Fantasy published in the West, and
Mm.
and piggybacked off of the mechanics that Dragon Quest had already established years prior. So, but because there wasn't a market in the West, Final Fantasy took that jump, and then they ended up getting that market in the West, where Dragon Quest stayed in the East. It could, I mean, I don't know. It could possibly be that there's some licensing conflicts with different regional laws and stuff like that. I know back in the day and age of like PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3, there were games that were region locked just because of different licenses, different things like gore, dismemberment, topics could be something like that. Characters, the way characters dressed, and little like it. it could be anything between the littlest thing, like, you know, what color shirt a character wears, or it can be like the largest thing, like, you know, it's banned in a singular country inside the region. So I'm not entirely sure. There are different factors that, you know, come into play with this kind of stuff, but yeah, my biggest guess would be that it just might be not be popular.
I understand, but if it's any of that, wouldn't then Nintendo not be able to publish it, or Nintendo play different rules than someone like Square, for example?
They could play by different rules, or they could, you know, they could modify their games differently. So again, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, obviously, we don't, we aren't privy to those kinds of conversations in house. But yeah, like I said, it could be a number of factors. But most of the time, you know, most of the time, regions, it comes down to regional laws and licenses.
Gotcha. Nate, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeah, like he said, that's like the big factor that I've experienced. Like I said, a big problem in Europe, especially versus the United States, is the United States is technically just one place, or North America is, you know, the United States plus Canada. So I mean, we're relatively the same when it comes to like media consumption and stuff like that. But I've seen stuff skip like it's hard to realize that even though Europe is bigger, you know, that blob on the map is still several countries, and they often share very different things. I remember about the whole thing with what's the Nazi killing game? I can't remember right now.
Wolfenstein.
There you go, Wolfenstein. So like Wolfenstein in Germany doesn't look the same, right? Because they literally the swastika is banned like entirely.
Oh yeah.
Like, so it can't even exist in like television form. Like they, you know, so they had to like remove it. So you're still killing them and they still talk about it, but you just can't have the symbolism.
To be correct, you can use it, but not for entertainment purposes. That's the ruling there. I do think that they've relaxed that recently, so I'm not sure what would affect that. Yeah.
Well, I just know that it did prior. That's all. Yeah, like I remember someone talking about it as it pertained to Wolfenstein, and I thought that was funny.
Oh yeah, they censored a lot of games in the past. Like I think like Turok, you know, the Dinosaur Hunter. Was the N64? Yeah, N64. Yeah.
Yeah.
They replaced all the human enemies with robots in the German version.
That's hilarious. Some of the stuff for censorship for a game to come out is hilarious. Like some of the stuff you just gotta laugh at it. I mean, it sucks, but you just gotta laugh. But yeah, I mean that's definitely that. And like he was saying, you know, licensing issues and other stuff like that. And realistically, you know, other constraints, you know, money, who's footing the bill, where do they want it to go? You know, that's going to be a huge deciding factor. You know, you never hear about the people behind closed doors, you know, the boardroom, the people with the money. But, you know, they're largely responsible for making those decisions. So ultimately, if they don't want it there for whatever reason, or they, like Deli was saying, they look at the numbers and they don't add up where they like them, then it's going to be a no.
Yeah, or possibly they'd have to go through a separate publisher. So it'd be like, let's say, you know, Square Enix publishes through 505 Games because for some reason 505 Games is more versed in a certain region, right? Or let's say Square Enix doesn't have any licenses or is unable to publish in something like the Middle East. It's like then now they have to go find another person to facilitate that through, and that could be, you know, a different contract, different money. That could be, again, introduce new constraints. Like, what if the new publishing company says, "Hey, you know, let's lengthen the skirts on all of the women in the game." It's like, okay, well now there's a push and pull, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, I got into the semantics about that with my girlfriend at one point. When we were talking about the semantics of creating different characters from different nationalities and races and so on. You know, because she's Mexican and she was like, I forgot I was playing some character. So I mean, I'm just from America and black, but people talk about often, the good depictions of black characters in games and how cool it is and stuff when it happens and this, that, and the third. And she's like, where's like the Mexican one or whatever? And we were talking about it. And I was like, I was like, because I even told her, I was like, okay, imagine your family, right? And then imagine like you guys are from here, they're from Arizona. And then there's like, I've been from the east to the west coast. That I've been blessed to go to all of it, right? So I've been to New York with all my Puerto Rican friends and stuff. I've been to Florida, more Puerto Ricans and Cubans, and I grew up with everything in North Carolina. We had people from all over the place, and it was like I would ask just to explain the subtle differences. I would ask some of them how to say something in like Spanish, and they would all tell me 3 different things. Like, so I was like, imagine trying to create like this cohesive experience for, the Spanish people. And I'm like, someone's gonna not like it, right? Like, I was like, someone's gonna be mad. That's not how you say that. That's not how you do that. That's not. I was like, so like, if you like, this is why I explained to her, like, this is why this doesn't happen as much as you would think, because the semantics behind it and the nuance to these characters and how careful you would have to be is almost frustrating. Like, you don't want, like, game development is already a very frustrating thing, and not that it's not rewarding, but like when you're already dealing with a bunch of complex things and other things going on, like having to like stop all production because like I don't know, somebody put a flag in the wrong place.
1 second,
weird.
Innate. Kay can see us. We moved to a different group, but shouldn't she be able to see us because she is a panel member?
Is she trying to? Yeah, I mean, she can come in anyway.
She just said, I don't see where you guys are talking.
That's because her voice chat is probably collapsed. Like if you collapse the voice channels, like and you're not in it.
When you started the podcast, I saw you move to We Live, and I couldn't join it until you went back to general.
Yeah,
wait,
so we're
even
in.
You, but you're a panel member. Yeah. I told Innate to make it so that panel members should be able to join. No question asked. Okay, then can you? Okay.
Oh, I see what it is. Tell her to look now.
Go to general and I will move you in. Sorry about that. Also, for Morgan, when you come, go to general and type in the chat when you join, so I move you in. My excuses for this one. I'm just so frustrated. That's such a fantastic game, and yeah, it's sitting on an 82 on Metacritic. Real talk, I don't give a fuck about Metacritic, and I'm excited for if I ever play it. And she made it. Okay, how are you? What have you been playing?
Hey, we're playing Stray. I see how it is. You're just trying to lock Morgan and me out.
Yep.
No, that was my fault. I 100% admit it. So there was something weird.
No, you don't have to take the fall for Omar. It's okay.
No, I did it. I honestly did. I changed it. So for some reason, when I changed it to the lock channel, it moved the view permission to away when you should be able to view the channel anyway. You just can't connect unless you have permission or you get dragged in. So it's fine. I fixed it though. But what's up? What you been playing? You said Stray. I know you've been playing something else though, because I know you was playing that multiverse before.
Oh no! I'm about to kick you out. we don't do that on here.
She was playing. She's been playing a little bit of everything.
So, which character are you, and how are you enjoying the game?
The multiverse is that.
Oh no, the SpongeBob. You were playing the SpongeBob one.
Oh, that.
There you go. That's what she was playing. The SpongeBob. Okay. There you go.
The SpongeBob game.
Yeah, the SpongeBob fighting game.
The what's called the what do you call that? Smash Brothers.
Was it the Nickelodeon? The
Nickelodeon thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were playing that before too.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of fun. Yeah, I was playing that with my brother and my daughter, and I was smacking them with Garfield. It was hilarious.
So So how far are you in Stray? Oh yeah, you already got the platinum Stray, right?
Actually, I never said I got the platinum, and I
Oh,
haven't. But I did beat the game.
okay.
There are a couple of trophies I have to go back and get to get the platinum,
Hmm?
but I'm in the middle of a move, so like pretty much the day that Stray came out, I knew that I would have to move the day after, so
Oh.
we all sat down and just played through it all in one day. I mean, like it's a short game anyways, but you know.
Also, shout out to you for blowing up on Twitter with that clip.
Uh,
I
just a little.
called it. I literally called it. Did I not?
Yeah.
It's so funny. I'm so glad that you turned the TV off because your dog was literally about to smash that TV.
Oh yeah. Like as soon as the cats came on, because not Sasha is the one that I have as my profile picture on Twitter. Jaeger is the black and white one that you see, that the one that reacts. He actually watches TV with us like all the time. So I knew that he would be watching us play, and as soon as the cats came on, I already had my phone ready because I knew as soon as those cats came on, he would see them and he would, yeah. I knew he was going to react to that.
What made me love what's happening is none other than the creator of Rivet from what's called Insomniac retweeted your clip, and
Yeah, I was surprised about that.
I mean she is known to be a cat person. She love cat. She love animals in general. So yeah, I think we talked enough. Let's start our topic. Okay, so first topic is going to be. I'm gonna go there. 343. What's happening? For the second time this week alone, another member from 343 left the studio. Um, also, also, give me a second so I can pull it up because it's crazy out here. What's happening? Does anyone know what's called their position? Okay, so here, Halo Infinite art director says it's time to leave Microsoft, Xbox, and 343. So, tweet verbatim. All good things come to an end. After close to 14 years on Halo, I've decided to pursue other opportunities outside Microsoft and 343 industry. It's been a hell of a ride. Loved every minute of it. Wishing the absolute best of 343. You guys are and always will be amazing. So he left, and then a last night I think. Another one here. After 5 years, I've made the decision to leave 343 Industries and Halo. It was an absolute honor to help build the franchise that built me. Thank you for playing and sharing your experience with me. Love you all. Now it's time for a new journey. Um, and then this came around a few hours ago, 10 hours ago. This is from BGC. Halo Infinite multiplayer is reportedly causing players to use 1 gigabyte of data per game, and 343 is investigating this. If you couple that with 343 wanting to put microtransaction in the Halo Master Chief Collection, it's and literally just a few weeks ago, co-op was released for the public. What's happening in the studio, and is there a way for them to turn it back? I'm gonna start with you, Delhi.
I mean, I think people are just leaving. To be honest with you, I'm not gonna look too deep into it. I mean, it could be a bunch of different things. Like it could, it could be like cultural clashes. It could be like people, looking for different spots. Other studios are purging talent. It could be like their contracts are up. It could be a bunch of things different, honestly. But yeah, I mean, people leave all the time and move on to different things. I mean, like the majority of Halo is already cemented, so their art director is probably just looking to do bigger and better things other than just creating additional content and stuff. Especially since the art direction already is established and with him, so the majority of his job is already done within world and universe. So yeah, and as for other things, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not going to look too negatively into it because again, people leave studios all the time, and I don't think these guys have left after a short period of time. I would only look into things negatively if people are leaving within short periods of time, like they're under a year, under 2 years or something like that. But these guys have been at 343 for quite some time, so I'm assuming that they're just looking on to better and bigger horizons.
So you think this is a different situation than the initiative?
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of different situation. I think it's also a different situation than the 343 has had in the past this last year. I think about 5 or 6 people left this last year, and I know that the creative director at what's it called at 343 was replaced earlier this year. So the new creative director has been in the seat for about 4 months now. But there was no like departure story about that or anything like that. Like I said, people get replaced and things move and things shift all the time. I'm assuming that people are looking for a fresh new face for Halo Infinite, and it could be that promoting junior people are is probably the best way to do so.
Gotcha. Viper.
Well, here's the thing. I'm all about finding a solution to a problem. And not saying that this is a problem. However, when people are leaving, normally, some people get promoted, new people get hired. So my thing is, we're hearing all these tweets and news and messages about people leaving, but who are replacing the people that are leaving? We don't see, hey, this is my first day at 343, blah, 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 like you do at Insomniac or Naughty Dog. When they lose people, they say, it's my last game, bye, I'm leaving. And then a new person steps in and go, hey, I'm the one taking over, I'm doing this. Where's the replacement people? That's what I'm worried about, finding a solution to the problem.
We need to give it a week and see if someone else joins. Because I do know they got someone from Bungie. Someone left at Bungie and joined 343 a few weeks ago. I don't know who it is, but I do know that happened. Weeb.
Yeah, I think like Deli said, that I don't think we should put too much read too much into it for individuals leaving. Don't think that necessarily means that it's a sinking ship, as it were. But yeah, I mean, there's certainly something going on in that studio based purely on what we've seen. But I'd say that's more of an output issue, an organization issue, and maybe there is something going on in terms of company culture that can easily change with new management or changes within a larger corporate structure. That people might also not feel happy to be there, but you probably see a lot of people will still stay purely because obviously you want to have job security. You're just gonna leave your job that easily. So I mean, I don't think this is, let's say, the smoking gun that you're looking for. But yeah, we've seen plenty of issues with the game, with things coming out of the studio that say that probably the franchise could be in better hands. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha. And Nate?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, the biggest thing for this is, I mean, people come and go from development all the time. Specifically, it's not like a job that most people have where it's completely their career to stay in that one company. I mean, I think like 20 people just left like Santa Monica or whatever over the past 2 months or something because essentially the project finished. And like Jelly was saying, some of the people just sitting around were, yeah, they're still useful, but it's like you're just creating, DLC or, the art director in that case now is just creating armor or something, for the battle pass or something. And it's like, well, when I worked on creating this game from the ground up, and now it's in that stage where like, all right, look, Tim from accounting, has got enough skills to create battle pass armor. Y'all move him up and I'm gonna head out and go work on something new and big. And there's always other projects starting up for these people to move on to. So I think just at the moment, that's really what you're seeing. Because it doesn't look like 343 is really in a place to do anything else besides Halo right now. So, I mean, if that's not what you're looking forward to, then, I mean, you're going to move on. I mean, speaking for myself, being into artistry and stuff like that, and having done some stuff, when you're tired of a project, you're going to want something new that's going to excite those creative juices and get you going. So, I mean, working on something, brand new to really get you excited. It's just where I think those people are headed. I don't really think it's anything particularly internal.
Gotcha. Ghost. Going one. Going twice. Oh. Going
Yeah,
twice.
he might not be there right now.
Okay.
Oh, Morgan's here.
I saw it. I was about to announce it. Sup, Morgan? How are you?
What's up?
So, what's your thoughts on two people leaving 343?
Honestly agree with everybody else. I really wouldn't look too much into it unless it was happening a lot more frequently. I know it seems like it happens a lot just because every time somebody leaves, they post it on Twitter. But I mean, then again, I always see people leaving Insomniac or Santa Monica and, saying, this is my last week, yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, I really wouldn't pay too much attention unless, Jason Schreier comes out with an article explaining why everybody's, evacuating immediately. But yeah, I kind of agree with everybody else.
Gotcha. Ghost, you here? Okay. As for me, I'm looking into it for one simple fact that we already know 343 have been suffering from management issues. So correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they say they need to still add ray tracing to the game? Also, the cut content, do they not have any plan to release that? So doesn't they need a director for that? Or am I wrong with that front?
Well, I'm not. It's not to say that they're not going to have one, right? It's just that that particular person doesn't need to be present for that work to continue. Like they're going to hire, eventually. I mean, there's always open spots.
But here is the thing. That might be the issue. If you love something and you enjoy doing it, then why leave if you already know there's already work for you to do? That might be
some people want to change. You've been doing something for a while and you want a different challenge.
Yeah,
like it doesn't mean,
especially if you've been on this project for 5 years.
Yeah,
I mean, it's nice to have job security. Don't get me wrong, but I think that again, once you have a project like a live service game, I mean, you're
Mhm.
basically going to be working on the same style of content,
Mhm.
you know, same genre and same kind of same avenues and stuff like that, because there are constraints that still exist within the same world, right? Like Halo's not going to become a third person shooter overnight, you know, next year. So there's not really necessarily anything new or exciting to do. So your motivation as a team member kind of dips when you're kind of just working on the same thing every single day. You could still be passionate about it and you could still love it. Don't get me wrong. But your motivation to continue doing it at a height that is that it once was is it starts to diminish, right? Because like when a game comes out, you're like, that's the big goal, right? The games come out, we work on DLC, what's happening next, like what's the next big milestone for Halo Infinite. And at the moment right now, Halo Infinite's state is not it's not the best. So the next milestone is to get it back on track, and it could just be one of those things where, you know, those employees are just tired of doing that.
Gotcha. Thanks. Not gonna lie, though. Okay, I did forget you. So go ahead.
No, you didn't forget me. It was on purpose. You skipped
Oh
me on
yeah, he
purpose.
did it on
I
purpose.
actually
Clearly,
genuinely forgot you.
I mean,
the
you did.
sexism on this podcast is
Like
just
you
it's out
ignored.
of this world.
I am admitting it on air. I forgot you. So go
You
Uh,
should,
ahead.
yeah.
like
Kay and
He
you,
said
Morgan.
he
you,
forgot
you.
your existence. You hear
Uh
this?
I
oh.
You
know.
hear
Wow,
this?
you really
No.
gonna say that on live, dude?
Oh man.
Mm. You forgot Morgan. And
Mm,
Nate had to say something, and that's why
No,
Morgan got a turn.
I didn't forget Morgan.
You,
I
you
actually
had
saw
you,
Morgan
he,
get
okay.
he he was
So
ignoring me.
dead.
He was purposely ignoring me. That's what.
I,
That's what.
I
No, I would.
I see how it is. It's like, for us women to speak, men have to acknowledge us first.
Right.
Oh
That's
man.
that's
Ladies,
that's how it goes. That's the
people
rules.
are gonna believe that shit. Come on.
Ooh, get
Oh my
him!
god.
Somebody clip this. Somebody clip this.
Wow, I
Oh
can't believe
man.
you would do that,
Mm,
man.
Mm.
Oh
For the
mm.
man.
record, I love Morgan and Kay dearingly.
Nah. Don't try to.
So yeah.
Nah. Don't do that. Don't do
Yo,
that.
and Nate, it's a fucking war
Yo,
on us, it
bro,
seems. What
bro,
did
I'm
we
just trying
do
to,
wrong?
man.
You
Well,
like us like animals. Like
Just
we're
the
just
overbearing
below you.
misogyny like that's going on. I can't.
are
I
you guys
can't.
getting are you guys
I
getting paid 77 cents to the dollar?
Oh god.
I
Oh
What?
god.
used
Yeah.
You're
Oh
You know
god.
what? To every dollar that all the rest of the guys getting here, yeah, you're right. It's 77 cents.
Oh
Checking the
Lord!
no,
receipts.
no
Wow,
one.
I cannot believe
I'm
you
not
do
even getting
that.
paid at all. What are you talking
Oh
about?
damn.
Oh
Oh
god.
Oh
damn.
no!
Oh man. Oh man.
Yeah, let me
You got
talk
some
to the
Mm,
explaining to
account.
do,
Let me talk
Omar.
to the
Oh,
mm.
accountant. I gotta do that.
man.
Ladies, if you don't behave, the mute button exists. And the chat
Oh,
button
oh,
exists.
you hear this? You hear this, man?
Uh
Oh
oh.
man.
Uh
He
oh.
said the mute button
Go
exists.
ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kay.
Okay,
Retalk though.
come back.
Kay, go
Okay,
ahead.
come back.
Hey, hit that mute button. She said, all right, bet.
Kay,
Okay,
Kay,
I'm leaving.
Kay.
Said, okie dokie.
Nah, I'm pretty sure
Wow,
no.
yes.
Kay knows that I'm joking. But
Wow, she
retalk.
does.
Of course she knows you're
Well, she's
joking,
not
dude.
joking.
Okay, there she is.
Hey, she exists.
Okay.
Hello.
So I agree with everybody. You know. Um. But I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I agree with everyone. It kind of feels like maybe 343 is just under a magnifying glass, and so so people leaving is just more noticeable or gets more attention than other studios. So it could be just that. I think we can only speculate at this point until, like Morgan mentioned, until an investigation is launched. If one gets launched.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks. Ghost, are you here?
No.
Going. Okay, yeah, shame. Uh, we're gonna go to the next topic, and this topic I just thought of, and because we have someone like Jelly here, maybe he can give us an insight. So, from what I have seen, a lot, and I mean more than 90% of live service games released unfinished or with cut content, with lack of content, or they just stay for what's called open beta or whatsoever for a very long time. Um, is that something in the industry that people are okay with, or have developers tried to fight this? Because that kind of leads to the whole conversation about the disconnect between gamers and developers and publishers. Go ahead, Derry.
I mean, live service games require content, and when you have that, when you're making content, once a game hits critical mass for live service, you're able to kind of launch it. But the biggest thing is that you're missing content, and the problem is that gamers will burn through content so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you kind of have to launch the game. You can't really necessarily wait until there's quote unquote enough content, right? Like, I mean, look at Destiny for a very good measure. Destiny, one of the most popular IPs on PlanetNet in the last decade, launched in a very unsatisfactory state. 20 hours worth of gameplay, and they genuinely felt like they had enough content at the time, right? I mean, if you look at the statistics in the books, you have Crucible, you have multiple multiplayer modes, you have several several, I think you have like 14, 15 missions, you have 2 raids, and then you have another raid coming out in the winter. And it's like, that should quote unquote be enough content, and people are burning through it within the first week. And then now they're like, oh, wait, we don't have any content. And now they're behind, when they statistically were ahead, in the books prior. It could be something like that too. But I mean, if we wait years and years and years for a live service game to be quote unquote ready, I mean, by the time it launches, like I said, I mean, how many people are going to burn through the content that quickly?
Okay.
Look at Apex, look at Apex Legends. It dropped. There was like 12 heroes, 1 map, no battle pass, no ranking system, no nothing, and people were playing it for, a month, 2 months before they were bored and started demanding different things. So people started pushing updates out incrementally, but it took almost a year, maybe 2 years before things got on track to a state where everybody felt genuinely happy about it. There was a small esports scene in the beginning of Apex Legends, but that died pretty quickly within 6 months.
So then, what's the best solution for that if there is never going to be enough content on day one? Should the game be free to play, or should the price be at 30 instead of 60?
Well, I'm not entirely sure. Like, that's obviously up to the publisher and the game studio that's making the game. But I mean, at the end of the day, what's most important is having enough content, right? But if you have, let's say you have a thriving multiplayer mode, you won't really necessarily know until the day of launch. So you can compile everything together. Like, 8 of us in this room right now could be developing a video game, and we could test it to, let's say, 100 people every other month, right? So that would be about 600 people a year. And so we tested to 600 people a year, and they are engaged, and they say, yeah, I'd play this game for, 2 months, 3 months. And, when we get that info and feedback back, we're like, oh, 3 months, that definitely is enough time for us to, to get the next batch of content out. Then we release it to the world, and people chew through it in less than a month. And then now we're scrambling like we don't have enough people. Let's say if the game is free to play and not enough people are buying microtransactions, or let's say it's a paid game and it's live service. It's like, when's the next expansion going to come out? You really genuinely never know, because the statistics of the average game, the average gamer is anywhere between 14 to 24. So there is a lot of free time and or not a lot of free time within people of that age range. And if you think between the ages of 14 to 18, there could be a butt ton of free time. Let's say you launch in June, right? That could be a huge impact on your live service game. Or let's say you launch in wintertime. That could also be another huge impact on your live service game. So yeah, there's a lot of metrics and stuff that are in-house that we don't really necessarily see. But live service is one of those dicey slopes that, you have to be really, really careful with, because you can never really gauge properly how much content and how fast people are going to burn through it. I mean, if you look at Warframe, they came out with a lot of content that you can burn through very quickly. The problem is that you don't level up very fast and you don't get enough. One raid is essentially like 10, 20 hours worth of work, just because it takes so long to level up. So it's like they can kind of slow the community down and work at the pace that they need to or they want to in order to get the expansions out properly on time. But then the problem comes is, are the people playing our game actually engaged? Do they want to grind 20 or 30 hours for this, for this item or to the end of this expansion? So there's a fine line. There's a fine balance. There's definitely a push and pull when it comes to content and player base. And, you never really truly know until you launch it.
Gotcha. Weeb?
I have a question real quick, Omar.
Go ahead.
For Dell. So speaking from your experience, Deli, would you also say that sometimes there may be, I wouldn't say too much content, but have you ever had a situation where somebody came up with an idea and then somebody else was like, no, we'll put that on the back burner until like season 3 or something like that? Has that ever happened before?
We had content in Watch Dogs Legion that was and ultimately shoved to the season pass. We wanted to bring Wrench and Aiden back, and they were like, "We'll just put that in the season pass."
Yeah.
So I've had situations like that where they're like, "Oh, that is a really, really great idea. It may take a really long time to implement it. It may really take a long time to cook in the oven, or it just be like, that's not what we necessarily want to work on right now." That's up to the studio. That's up to the team to kind of decide. That's up to suits and higher ups, because it could potentially be like the entire studio wants to do it, and then the higher ups are like, or the producers hear it and say, well, that'll knock us off schedule if we do this, or that'll lose 30% of manpower because now we have to move people into this section to create that content, and then now we have to wait and hire people and then onboard people, because when we onboard people, it's not, and we have a proprietary game engine. So when I came on, I was learning through Unreal Engine 4. So when I came on, they were like, hey, are you familiar with C++? I was like, yeah, I use Unreal Engine 4. They're like, cool. It's nothing like Unreal Engine 4. It's but you do know C++, so you're good. And I was like, okay. And then that was it took me like 13 weeks to learn how to do things properly. And I was asking questions every single day, 8 to 10 hours a day.
Oh, it's that push and pull amoebic like work environment. I get it. All right.
Yeah, and again, it's a lot of that stuff. It comes down to producers to make sure that we stay on schedule. Because at the end of the day, it could be no hit at all. It could be like, yeah, we're in a hiring spree right now, so we should be fine. So let's start that content. And then once we hire and onboard everybody, we'll create that team, and then the game will get launched, and then we'll should be able to nail this expansion within 2 to 3 months. Because that's what ended up happening. Our game launched in October, and then the first season pass content multiplayer drop came out in December. Only 2 months later.
Ghost, are you here? Okay.
I highly suggest you select a woman from the panel, please.
They're
Tell 'em,
gonna go
Viper.
last. I'm
Oh,
already mad at
damn.
them.
Oh,
Morgan, what's your
man.
thought?
So wait, what was the question? It was about cut content?
Yeah, so no cut content, but in general that
So he's asking the full question, right? The
yeah.
full question is essentially live service games in particular, either launching with cut content or not enough content,
Or
and so on and
broken and
so
unfinished.
or broken and unfinished. Is
I
there a
forgot to add that
solution
for what's
for
called for
that?
Delhi.
I mean, I don't particularly think they want to find a solution. I mean, I feel like that's the point of live service, is to keep you on the hook. So, of course, they're not going to have everything day one because they want to drag it out and keep you like, 6 months you'll get this feature, and then another 6 months you'll get that feature, and then keep you on the line, keep you spending money, keep you purchasing microtransactions. I'm not, I don't. It's not the I'm not blaming like the devs on this. This is more of the upper management idea, I feel like. But yeah, I just feel like that's kind of the point. Like the same way that, you know, like products such as, I don't know, like razors or something, they could build a razor that lasts forever, but they're not going to, because they want you to keep buying disposable razors and keep that revenue coming in. They're going to keep making and adding content and not giving it all to you day one, because they want to keep you in the service and on the game, playing and coming back and being like, oh, look, there's something new, even though that probably should have been there day one. Like, oh, look, we've added this new feature to this game to keep it fresh for you guys. Come back, come play, bring your friends. So I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Gotcha. Subtrictly, night work on what you did to, what's his name? Dreamcast guy.
Dreamcast guy.
Yeah. I love how he kept deflecting. Like, that shit was comedy gold. Weeb, what you thought? Weeb, I know AI
He's
is a
coming. He's
fantastic
coming.
game, but
Yeah,
come
yes, it
on.
is. Actually. I lost the plot there. What's the question?
I hate you. That's the question. The question is, so, live service games released unfinished, broken, or with not enough content. Should there be a solution for it? And so, yes, then should it be?
Oh, yes, I have a perfect solution. Stop making them.
X.
I knew it was coming. Oh.
I mean, I agree. Real talk, I agree. Because here is the thing that I understand Derry's point, because he is a developer and all. But as someone, for me, I not only do I don't care about them, I find them disrespectful to us gamers. Because you're releasing an unfinished product for $60. I forgot to add this, Daily, when I asked you. It's one thing to release with not enough content, but something else to release your game unfinished, broken, and then expect us to pay $60, and then to come out on Twitter and apologize for it. The latest one that was, I don't know if it's for 60 or not, but it's a game that was launched on Xbox exclusive in Game Pass from the one game the people clap for.
Outriders?
No, that game was good. It good-ish, but it launched with problem. No. The one that's Xbox exclusive.
Oh, Crossfire X?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that trash.
And it's like, where is the Q&A testers? And I'm gonna go back right to you, Derry. Sorry, Weeb.
Well, you know,
is
that's
that not
the
their
publisher
job?
thing. No, it's a publishing thing.
Jelly, where are the Q&A testers?
It's a publishing thing, my man. You know, at the end of the day, when hard deadlines are set and things aren't done on time, I mean, like, what can you do, right? You know, if your publisher won't budge, what can you do? Or you ask your publisher, hey, we need a delay. And then they say, well, all right, we'll give you 2 months. And it's like, oh.
Who was the publisher? Xbox or?
The publisher was Xbox Game Studio.
So Xbox said release it unfinished then.
I mean, it could be that, or Xbox and say like, hey, you know, is it done? And then the studio can say yeah, and then they'll check it and they'll be like, you know, I'm not giving you guys any extra time. So yeah, I mean, most of the time the publishers do a quality pass, right before launch, and if this is the state that the game's in, then that's the state that the game's in. You know what I mean? If you say, oh well, this is not good, this is not meeting our standards, like, you guys have to do this, and then, you know, the studio responds, well, that'll be like an extra 9 months worth of work, and it's like, oh well, no, our hard deadline was February. It's February next week. Like, we have to get this out the door, and it can be a situation like that as well too.
But is there
I
no?
I distinctly remember that you mentioned this. Uh, Aliens Colonial Marines, where it seemed to be the opposite situation where Sega was a publisher and Gearbox was basically telling them every time it was good news, and in the end, the game came out and clearly didn't live up to expectations. Let's put it that way. Uh, so yeah, I mean, in the end, you could argue, Sega, you should have done your due diligence. You should have made sure that you checked on the progress regularly and didn't not trust them on telling you, yeah, it's going to be fine. But in the end, you still got an unfinished product, as it were. And yeah, to be fair, that was not a service game, so it's not exclusively to service games. But I do say that service games do have um, a risk, a higher risk than normal of being released unfinished because they can get away with it because they say, oh, we have a roadmap. You're going to get the things. It's going to be good later on. And that's kind of inherently the problem with service games because while some do, a lot of them don't. If the game fails, if it doesn't get the sales, the engagement numbers, whatever metric you want to use, that satisfies the publisher, or if it's a big developer, obviously it can self-publish. Then the game is dead. I mean, look at Anthem. It had a major publisher behind it, EA. They had all these promises that the game was going to be it's going to be fixed, going to be good later on, and a lot of people bought into that. In the end, nothing came of it because they decide, the game was a failure, so we're going to stop investing in it. That's an inherent risk which you have with service games. I mean, if it's good, again, I'm not a fan of it, but I know people who, for example, love Destiny, and they explain to me like they only play that Destiny and say, yeah, look, for me, it's value because I at the time bought a base game for $60 and maybe spend twice that with all the expansions. But I can have I mean, to me it's value because I'm playing it already 2 years and I don't have to spend money on any other game. I can get that if that's all you do. I mean, personally, I like to have a variety of experience, so I keep on buying new games and want to play new games. So for me, that's not an option. But I get that. But again, the risk there still is, if Destiny was a failure, which maybe it was too big to fail, but still, if it was a failure, you could have bought into that promise, and then if players dropped, if the publisher decided, yeah, we're not going to go forward with this, all the content is going to be canceled, then you're essentially stuck with. You invest in this personally as a gamer, and it turned out to be a dud. That's inherent risk with service games where we're going to fix it later on. They can afford to do that. They can tell you that, and you have no choice but to believe in it if you want to stick with this game. But there's a very high risk that it will not pay off.
Gotcha. Um. Okay. Welcome back. I'm not. I don't think you play too much live service games, right?
Play what?
You don't play too many live service games, right?
Yeah, no, I don't. The only one that I got into, but I haven't played it in years, is Dead by Daylight.
Mm, okay. So, what's your thoughts on the conversations that we're having?
So, yeah, I had to step out for just a
Oh,
second.
I know, I
So,
know. Okay, so basically, games are being released unfinished or broken or not with not enough content. I'm talking specifically about live service games. What's the solution for that? I introduced a solution between make it free to play only or make it around $30 and not 60 or even God forbid 70. Because games like this, in my opinion, not only they don't deserve to be 60 and 70, but also they hurt the studio by doing so. You thought?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, they do it because they know they can get away with it, and they do. And then you have, whales that spend thousands of dollars on these microtransactions. And so, they're like, oh, that's money for me, and if they're gonna keep buying it, then we're gonna keep selling it like it is.
Gotcha. Um, Nate?
Yeah. I mean, I've played them for a number of years, probably more than anybody in here because I mean, I've been playing MMOs forever. So MMOs were like some of the most first versions of live service that you're talking about. Um, and I've played plenty of them free to play. I've tried the ones that are pay monthly. I've tried all the different reasons and why, and they swear, that the reason you pay monthly is because it allows them to do more content or this, that, and the third. So there's a number of complex reasons um, for stuff like that. And what Deli said, what was a big factor into it, you just can't gauge how someone is going to consume the content, right? Somebody would play with us and destroy, which is essentially a ton of content in a week because the way their schedule is set up, or they took time off from work or whatever it is, they just had way more time to play than all of us. And, they just went crazy with it. Versus us, and it turned out to be a month of content or more, depending on how you consume it. So that's a tough thing to gauge, right? Like essentially, and I'm going to give you an example, right? Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a long ass game, right? Like I've seen people with 400 hours in it for a very good reason, but I've also seen the person speed run it, and it was beaten in a time that I wasn't even sure was possible until I actually sat there and watched them do it. So that's a good example of a game that is complete, in its entirety, and two people completed it in very different time frames, right? Then of course you have the average time to complete, which is usually what developers are going to go based on. So saying that it's not enough or it is enough, what's not enough for you isn't going to be the same measurement for someone else. So it's a hard question to answer. Because I know some people that are just happy with like the most thing that I would consider the most basic thing. And I'm like, how does this entertain you? Like, and at the same time, they have fun with it for years.
People
One of
are
my
weird.
friends, they are. And this is where my breadth of gaming experience and the various people that I've gamed with comes in handy, right? I've gamed with both console people and PC only people for over 2 decades, right?
PC Master
Um,
Race?
yeah, like but that's how they game, right? Now they have gotten into other stuff and dabbled in other things because console has just offered some in impassable things, right? But like one of my friends, he played Diablo 3 or whatever for like years. And like he would religiously get on the moment a new season dropped, and him and his boy would just play that just constantly. And I was like, how can you play this old boring shit constantly? Like I played Diablo 3 when it came out. I beat it on PC, and then I played it again on console, and I beat it and I was done. That was it. So we consume the content in a very, very different way. You see what I'm saying? So this is another example, though, of a game that is essentially complete, right? Um, and this is where it comes into whether or not, when you question whether or not something is complete, what is really happening there, or what is the question in that content. Now, sometimes it's very obvious, like things pertain to Sea of Thieves, right? Sea of Thieves was very, very light when it first launched. And you had some people capping for that or whatever. So sometimes it is very obvious, right? It's like, okay, there's this much content, period, and there's nothing else you can do with it. But then, like Deli said, you may have a thriving multiplayer. So now these people are in here and they're playing pirates and bust a cap in your ass, and they having the best time of their life, even though there's no more content to be had. There's no new content happening. They're having the time of their life running around on ships and sinking each other. And that's all they're doing. Now eventually the content came and the game became plenty robust, right? So you have these different demographics or expectations from different gamers that are, some people are going to love it and some people won't. And essentially the real solution for you, honestly, the only solution you're going to have that's realistic is when it is enough for you, that's when you either choose to go in or not, right? Destiny 2, I quit, I told you, about a year ago, because I got tired of the hamster wheel. Destiny's gunplay, like I said, is unmatched. But it was another auto rifle with some grass on it, and it was blue now. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just tired. Like I was like, what are we doing here, right? But
you're
again,
not
like, you
playing
have
for
people
the
that have it.
story? You don't care about
No,
the
I know I
story?
did. No, I did. But it was decent. You know what I'm saying, at best. But I know myself, right? And this is a conversation I had with Morgan the other day. People who have different expectations for different games, right? Some people think like literally the worst movies of the year have the best stories they've ever seen in their life, right?
Mm.
I am an extremely hard person to impress, story wise, largely because the majority of the games I play are award-winning story-driven games, JRPGs and the sort. So it's very hard to match what I expect story-wise. So although it was very entertaining, the story in Destiny was no more entertaining. The one that you get anyway, not without reading grimoires and all this other back end stuff. The actual front-facing story in your face, playing through the campaign. The campaign itself is fun. You run through it, it's a blast, but it is no more than Transformers, right? I go to see Transformers to watch things blow up, to see Transformers transform and beat the shit out of each other, and watch whatever random human they choose to save the girl, and ride off in fast cars. That's what it's supposed to do, right? And I do get that out of it, and that's cool. But like once you drain out of that, you want to come away from it, right? Some people don't mind chasing. The other thing that you're going to run into in that particular scenario is chasing the loot, right? That's a big question that always comes up. Now, this, you're familiar with this, even though it's technically not a live service game. Borderlands. No one has ever done the loot system really better than Borderlands, right?
Yep.
But one of the main things people will tell you they love about Destiny is going for those guns. I gotta have this gun, and I need this roll, and I gotta run that 16 more times so I can get the perfect god roll, and I gotta do this because this gun comes like this, and if it just had this one thing on it, and I know I can get it, I'll be perfect, and I'll in PvP, and I'll down the boss in the raid 20 seconds faster. Like I'm telling you, people get into the number crunching and the just a little bit better, and I'll be that much better in this game, and people love that, and I don't fault people for it. When I was playing, I did it a little bit. I wasn't obsessed with it because, again, like you said, me, I'm all about my single player games at the same time. And then here in mind is one more thing, which is the time, right? The time factor. Is it always comes down to that. So one thing that you were saying, they shouldn't, have these games because it's annoying and it wastes your time. So respecting your time is the biggest key, honestly, throughout all of game development, right? Don't waste my time. That's where is a constant balance, and that usually comes down to how much time do you have available, right? So like I was telling you, the one person that'll consume a metric ton of content in a week versus everyone else, right? When I played MMOs, you had the elites of the elites, right? The top of the top. These people could run through. They were basically esports players, but like in guilds and just specifically to consume content. You can't stop these people. It's a living, right? Just like you have streamers now who go for worlds first, right? Every single thing that they're doing is something that most developers haven't even anticipated. And I know because I've seen some of the stuff that they've published And then Bungie's like, I didn't even know you could do that. Like, how did they, they break the game in ways you never thought
I mean,
possible.
look at Diablo 3, right? Game
Mm-hmm.
comes out, first people who beat it in like 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah.
It was like 4 Korean guys.
Yeah, they destroyed it. And then not only that, like you said, to bring back to Diablo 3, they originally launched with the auction house, and they eventually had to take it out because it got so bad.
Yeah, and then they did Loot 2.0, and then the Paragon levels, and then everything was still better. But by that point, the story was already complete, so people were just running the story over and over and over again. And
Exactly.
can you imagine working on a game for 5+ years and then they beat it in 3 days?
Yeah,
What do you do?
It's insane.
Yeah, this is why people have a conversation about the $70 price tag or $60 even when a game is 4 hours long.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, if it was the best hours of my life and I could guarantee that shit, I'd probably pay it. You know what I'm saying? Like I paid what was it 20? Like it's almost $20 a person to go to the Dolby Theater, right? The last time I went to the theater, I chose to go to the Dolby Theater. I could have went to the other one for like $9 a person, but I went to the Dolby Theater because it shakes the seats and the screen is clearer and it like it does all these things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I need that. Like I don't go often, so when I go, I want that experience, right? So that's really what you're gonna get into, right? I know what you're saying because you want the best of everything, right? We want the God of War 2018 of all experiences, but it's just gonna vary so much between people, time, and money. And like Kay brought up, one last thing, the whale, right? I hate those people. I don't hate people that have money. I hate the people that blow money in inordinate amount of ways that screw it up for everybody else. Because these are the people that a lot of these companies pay attention to, right? This is largely one of the biggest problems with mobile games. Some of the mobile games that I've seen are, like you said, we got into this conversation. I agreed with you. They look incredible, right?
Yep.
But as soon as you see the mobile trappings, it's an instant turnoff.
Yep.
Because you're like, if I don't play like Mr. Got All the Money over here, I'm gonna have to play this game for 2.5 years before I'm even viable. That's not fun.
I dropped them. This is I love the story. The story is an amazing story for a JRPG, but I dropped them.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what happens, right? They put all this production value and all this stuff, and our phones are incredibly powerful nowadays, right? Like I just recently got the Samsung Galaxy Ultra, and it the things that it can play are impressive. But there's also a lot of things that I don't want to play on my phone. Like people go, why don't you play this on your phone or that on your phone? And I'm like, no, I have a 55-inch OLED for that. But the majority of the problem is, like, again, how did they craft that content, right? And I even told you how much I loved Mass Effect 3's content. Again, not a live service game, Mass Effect 3, right? But they added the multiplayer, which was fun, which was technically live service. So there's a portion of a game now that you're discussing that's live service. And then I told you there's a point when the developers spoke and they could not say exactly how much money they made, but they said it was astronomical and that because they can see it. Like a lot of the devs have access to this stuff. They just can't talk about it. But he did mention one person alone, like I told you, who spent $15,000 on the microtransactions in that game. I don't even know how you do that. And I played the game for probably hundreds of hours with a couple of friends playing the co-op. So these are all the different factors that factor into all these live service and why this and why is that crafted like that. And why do they feel they can launch it like this? Well, honestly, at the end of the day, because they can. Now, whether that bites them in the ass to the point where Final Fantasy 14, where can they fail first and afford to re-up and then come back better than ever? Everybody's not going to get that chance, right? Now, of course, Final Fantasy 14 is, the top MMO on the freaking planet. And, at one point they sold so much that they had to stop selling the physical copy because servers were overloaded. Like, that's the kind of success you dream of, right? But everybody's not going to everybody doesn't get to be that. Everybody doesn't get to be the Flappy Bird of, the Google Play Store or whatever. So yeah, it's complex. But I agree with you. But ultimately, because of all these varying scenarios I just pointed out, there's no perfect solution. We can only
Gotcha.
support the people who give us the experiences that we value the most.
Precisely.
Yeah. Yep.
One final thing I want to say at Delhi. Are studios not afraid of game ruining their career? And I'm talking developer ruining their career or just even the game ruining their studio.
Well, I mean, I could always move to a different studio. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. That's a risk that they have to take in account for when they speak to their publisher and other things, right? Indie studios get started every single day and then shut down every other day. Big companies lay off all the time. At the end of projects, most of the time, if you don't get moved to another project, if it's not a live service game, you ended up getting laid off. So yeah, talent moves around all the time. So no, I don't think studios are afraid to I mean, obviously nobody wants to make a bad product, right? But I don't think studios are necessarily afraid, nor do they go into a project thinking that their product is going to bomb.
But from what I've seen, I didn't play it. That game was strictly unplayable. The amount of crashes, the amount of stuff. But let's get into a different game. Stray, for example. It released on PC. It had the curse of Unity, apparently. I forgot which, what's called, program it killed it. But apparently there's a lot of stuttering. There's a lot of, basically Stray is almost unplayable on PC. Could they not have found a way to say, okay, look, we're gonna release it on Xbox, I mean on PlayStation, but for PC we need more time? Or they can't afford, or there is no way to release a game on one platform and wait to release it on the other platform?
Well, I mean, that's something to do with their publisher as well too. But it could also be another thing where everything was fine on PC, when they were testing in house, and then they launched the live version, and then a bunch of bugs cropped up. Maybe it could be something like people are using DX12 instead of DX11, and they didn't test for that. So now people who are using DX12 can't run the game properly, so then the game's unplayable. Or it could be like a memory leak issue. Like they didn't account for that. That could probably cropped up within the last few days before launch. I mean, there's a bunch of things that can happen, like on the spot, out of the blue, in the moment. And you never can really gauge that. I'm sure that the game was working and tested and functional on PC in house, and then it's somewhere down the line it got unplayable. I mean, I think that it is possible they could potentially delay the PC version. It's a different platform, blah blah blah, this and that. Plus, it's not like Steam's paying them to, be exclusive. It might be a different story if it was on Epic Game Store or something like that. But it's not like the PC market is paying them to, for exclusivity or anything like that. So they could have delayed the PC version, quite a bit of time.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna
move I was gonna say real quick before you move on. The big factor for that, as someone who's played on PC forever, is just configurations. You can never account for all the different configurations. Like, as this was something that we ran into, like I would tell you all the time, all the random stuff that we would run into at the last job I had. But like, people started, one thing that wasn't a factor for the program that I worked with for movie studios, a lot of people didn't have multi-monitor setups prior, right? So gradually now almost everybody that we worked with had 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 monitors, right? So this was something that didn't present itself until people started to do that, right? So you may not test for that particular environment. That's one of the things you'll see a lot of PC players complain about when they talk about different configurations. And you'll see it get praised otherwise, but it also still doesn't work all the time, right? the ultra wide, and then there's super ultra wide, which Strictly has, right? All these things are a factor into a combination of things that could be a problem, right? The memory leak may only occur if someone has a super ultra wide monitor
What's a
with the
memory leak?
3090. So like for instance, one of the games that I played, right? This is the most famous thing for a memory leak. The longer you play the game, the more memory it uses. So even though I have like 16 gigs of RAM, let's say,
Oh, so
when I'm
kind of
playing,
like what we just I just reported with Halo.
I don't know what happened with Halo. Oh no, you're talking
No,
about
yeah, that's
yeah, you're talking about bandwidth, right?
yeah,
That's
that's a
internet.
Oh, that's a
This is
different.
something. This is something that's physical and finite, right? If you have 16, you only have 16. When it fills up, you're basically your computer's going to start to either stutter, slow down, or
I
run
know all
into all
about
kinds of
that.
issues.
My laptop
Yeah,
does that. Yeah.
exactly. So, good example. A really quick way to see what happens when your computer fills up. Open a bunch of Google Chrome tabs. Like it'll eventually have a heart attack, right? Um, but yeah, so eventually, like I said, at the longer you play the game, you get performance degradation. So like maybe I get 100 FPS playing Forza Horizon, and then gradually after I've played for 2 hours, the memory leak is so bad that now I get 20 FPS and I have to restart the game. Now, when I restart the game, it goes back and it resets, right? But that might only happen to people who have HyperX RAM, or they might have another type of brand, right? There's just so many different configurations that could set something off that PC is literally impossible to calculate. You try your best, and this is one of the benefits I always explain to people about console development. You don't have to struggle with all these things when everyone has one configuration. And
Gotcha.
I know Deli knows about that.
Yeah, I mean, like it could just be something like I don't know, somebody overclocked their RAM, and it's like, oh, okay, that's enough. Like it's sometimes it comes down to code interfacing with stuff that we never figured out, or we never checked, or we never worried about, right? Like let's say you're running a 970, right? The 970 is advertised to have 4 gigs of RAM. But what NVIDIA didn't tell you and didn't tell their consumers is that there's a gig of that RAM that is actually slower than the rest of that RAM. So actually, the card is actually less than advertised, slower than advertised for a portion of it. A fourth of it is slower than advertised. And so now you get into a game that's like, yeah, our game can be definitely run on 4 gigs of VRAM. Then let's say it docks up 3.5. Next thing you know, that
Now you're
may
running into that
incur
slower RAM.
yeah, it could incur something completely different that we never worried about, because I'm not worried about. I didn't develop this game for somebody who has a 970. Like that card is like a decade old. I don't expect anybody to have that. I expect people to have 1060s at minimum right now, or 2060s or 2050s or something like that. But here I am, people running 970 still. And then that's something that could be, again, a totally different issue that we never once tested in-house. Because who's going to test for a graphics card that's 12 years old?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was gonna say the other thing to consider, and this is a big factor I bring up all the time because people don't realize how popular it's become. When people get into the whole cross console, someone playing a console with a PC kind of thing. Another factor that a lot of studios will not test for is compatibility issues with funny enough, Discord, one of the most famous things people run all the time. Now, obviously that gets brought up a lot now because Discord is so popular. It's almost, ubiquitous, right? It's everywhere. But another thing that they may not factor in, I know some games that would freak out and crash the moment you tried to stream because some sort of protocol that gets ran when you go live interfaces with the game and it reads it maybe as like a cheat program or something. So now it thinks it's an overlay or something like like you trying to put something on your screen to help you cheat or something like it gets complicated. So the more
I mean,
factors,
Steam does that for OBS. It's impossible to hook onto CS:GO now. because now they won't have a compatible hook with OBS. So you have to like stream. If you stream CS:GO, you have to like do monitor capture instead of game capture. It won't work anymore because they Steam is now using their hooks as like part of their anti cheat. So it's like certain highly competitive video games you can't stream as easy as you could, even last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Little things like that, little changes like that can be huge changes and huge differences in the way a video game runs and in the way the video game interfaces with something that, like, I don't know, like Google Chrome, right?
Yep.
Gotcha. The next topic that we're going to talk about is, correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently Microsoft is getting Discord before PlayStation.
They're getting something with Discord before
Yeah, I think they're
PlayStation.
getting Discord voice integration.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
right?
it's not as robust and like holy crap as like that image made it seem. Like they made it seem like full integration. You're just gonna open up your Xbox and hop on Discord like we do on
Then
PC.
what are
And
they getting?
so that's not how it works. So you have to like the Discord voice integration, like you can slingshot basically, like you have to get on your PC or the app, right? And then basically interface it with your Xbox, and then you basically sling it over almost like pass over the voice chat to your Xbox, and it'll put you in the voice chat.
So kind
But
of
like,
like, what's called,
Yeah, you have to link your Discord account, and then you have to hop on your mobile app. And then once you're on your mobile app, there should be a thing that says, once you're, what's it called? Because there's not a native Xbox Discord app.
why
You
not?
have,
That's so.
I don't know, man.
I'm not
You're asking
asking.
the wrong
I'm not
person.
asking you, but it's just so not only convoluted. It's like, why that literally doubles the work instead of simply. I'm I'm confused with this one.
Yeah.
that's why I personally said this is why PlayStation doesn't have it, is because they just don't want that half measure. So
Yeah,
they're gonna wait.
But it's even better once you get into the mobile Discord app. You go on to there'll be like a tab that comes up that says to transfer your voice, and there's the console that you have, and then you press change, and then once you press change, you have to press transfer audio. Then once you transfer the audio, you'll be transported to the Xbox mobile app. And then once you're once you're transported to the Xbox mobile app, then you can fully transfer the call onto your Xbox console.
Wait,
And then
you need
that's
to.
how
It's
it
doing
works.
the most.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
told you.
it's
I
way too
told
much.
you. It's a
You
mess.
also need to have a rocket science degree with that.
Yeah,
It's
and
yeah.
Oh,
surgery
man.
degree as well too. Yeah, brain surgery.
Oh,
Let me lay some knowledge on something about that complicated, because I'm an audio video engineer for SSA and NSA.
okay. Go ahead, Mister Big Shot over here.
When we have equipment like we got Crestron, we got Polycom, we got Cisco, we got Extron, we got a whole bunch of pieces of equipment that need to be integrated together to work as one. You get a touch panel, you tell the touch panel turn the lights on, you tell the touch panel turn the TV on, or the VTC or whatever. When you got something that complicated with that many manufacturers involved, it's almost guaranteed to not work well. Because I've noticed if we had, let's say, for example, if I'm working with a system that's Cisco only, and we got a Cisco codec, we got a Cisco monitor, we got a Cisco router, that shit will work perfectly because they're all built for each other. But when you're going through so many hoops and bounds like that, it never works as intended. Never.
Yep, I agree.
Gotcha. I know all about that because when I was playing with Jubei, Borderlands 19, and what's called, we were playing crossplay, him on Xbox and me on PlayStation. Our voice audio was so horrible on his end. It's like it didn't do it justice. So Maybe this is why PlayStation is not getting what Xbox is doing, and they're waiting on the full thing before they
This is
implement it.
why they even started it though, because the ultimate program of communication has ultimately become Discord, right? But they don't want it half-assed, right? But that's the one thing I will tell you about PlayStation and my experience with them for over 26 years now is that they always wait till something is actually ready, right? Like it's very viable, it's very consumer user friendly, right? That's been one of their biggest things. They don't always get it right, but they definitely try. It's very obvious to me, right? So to me, this is something that I feel like is pointless to integrate. I won't even use it, right? I wouldn't even use it. And I don't know anybody that games on Xbox that would even use it. Like unless every like 20 people are in Discord and you're the only person not in there. But at that point, I'll just use my wireless earbud, put one in, and just use my phone. Like it's so much easier. It's just too complex. Until you can get the full integration, it's just unnecessary and it's messy, which PlayStation don't do messy.
Gotcha. Anyone have anything else to say about this topic? Nope. Then we're gonna move on. Ghost got a phone call from his client, so he had to step down. And also, I moved the Discord, what's called?
To the right.
Yeah, to the right, because when I put it to the left, I can't see the top person. So
I
that's
got you.
why when you join or someone else join, I can't see that.
Oh yeah, I got a fun one for you before we move on real quick.
Go ahead.
So I'll tell you about about a fun, and this is really quick. So a fun thing that is a really good example of how to fuck up when you move something over to another platform. So when Forza Horizon 4 first launched on PC, right? They forgot to change the memory layout. So Xbox had unified memory, right? Like everything runs through like this one memory set and then splits off and does its own thing. Well, they basically put that same thing on PC, so everything was going through your PC's memory instead of splitting off and using my video memory and my RAM for other stuff. So everything was using my RAM. So it basically, if you didn't have like the latest highest speed RAM, you were getting like people with like RTX 3080s and 3090s with like 20 FPS in the game because it was trying to run what should be running through your video RAM or your video memory. It was trying to run everything through your system memory. And like to give you an example, that's like trying to run something at 3,000 that should be running at like 7,000.
Nate,
That's
you seem to have forgotten the memo or never gotten the memo. Most of us here have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
but you
Absolutely.
understand speed.
I got you, bro. I got you, bro.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
Deli
that's
knows
all
what's
that
up.
matters. I got you, bro.
Yeah, but it's speed, right? It's the factor that comes in now when everybody talks about the SSD being irrelevant.
Yeah, I know about that.
People talking about the SSD being irrelevant or the speed of it, right? Remember I explained to you that it would be if you don't design the game to utilize it, right? Remember I told you there was a test, right? These people took a like three different speed SSDs, right? And they loaded 5 different games. Guess what? The slowest SSD loaded just as fast as the rest of them, right? Because they noticed there is a cap on the loading speed threshold for all the games they tested, which was like 400 and like 458 Mbps, right? Which isn't that fast, right? Like the I mean it's fast, like it loads damn near instantly. It's fast, but the point was until you design something to utilize the higher speeds available, of course it's useless. But now, remember, I told you at the same time, now you're starting to see for the first time games, if not require it, recommend it to basically making your game, as opposed to making your game unplayable, that you need an SSD and not only an SSD, but an SSD of a certain speed. Like, for instance, the one they all love to claim, Microsoft Flight Simulator. You need that in order to stream all that world and all that stuff that's happening around you in tandem with the cloud. You need a high speed SSD. So this is what I'm saying. Like, it's just, these are just examples, right, of the streaming. What I was explaining to you is the streaming speed, right, of this thing. So the RAM, I know you don't have to understand the both of them, right? Just understand the difference in the speed. My RAM is 3600 megahertz, right? My video RAM is like 7,000 or something like that, right? It's extreme. It's double, essentially, right? So by running that through, number one, it's running through the wrong process in the first place. It doesn't even work the same. But by not splitting it and running it through slower, you're giving me half, if not worse than half performance. That was the problem I was explaining, where you can run into these issues with these different platforms. So yeah, it's a mess. It can definitely be a mess.
I would just like to point out that that was in fact not a quick story, which just confirms that Nate is a liar. Okay.
Wow.
I wanna move because I'm falling asleep.
Nah, let's start, Morgan.
We started. Like, I'm here for the violence. Let's do it.
This
You don't want to smoke.
dude, and Nate, next time, get the memo. You and Dilly, you're having a blast, but me and everyone
Hey, bro.
else,
I'm so sorry, dude.
we are
He
asleep.
okay. He okay. Cause see, he gonna remember this shit when somebody try to get at his ass in a space about why the SSD ain't shit, and be like, nah, see, according to a Nate motherfucker.
I am pretty sure Dilly can handle himself against that conversation.
No, I'm talking about you, bitch.
Oh, me?
Oh, damn.
Me?
Oh.
I already forgot everything that you just said. Sorry.
I'm gonna wait for
the story of that man's life.
But
that's
no,
all right.
This is why I stay in my lane when it comes to conversation like this. If you want to talk about which boss is the more difficult, then you can talk to me about that. If you want to talk about level design when it comes to JRPG, we can talk about that. But when you're talking engineering and then you lose me, because
I know you asked me about the SSD speed the other day, and I told you immediately that person was lying.
Was a different conversation, but I am waiting on Ratchet to go to PC and to see how it's working on PC, and then we can revisit the SSD conversation. But
I'll see you in a couple years on that one.
Look who
you think it'll happen? I don't think it'll happen.
I mean, probably not, to be honest.
Dilly, don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Well, he said, I don't think.
I just don't think it'll happen. I don't know. Like, I don't have zero information on this.
We will see. Yeah. We will see. Hey, Ghost, you made it back. Welcome back. Yay.
I'm gonna start calling this man Secret Service.
I want to ask you a genuine question. What's your thoughts? And I just want to go back to the topic, which was the whole situation with live service games releasing unfinished, broken, and what's the solution for that? I said the solution should be either release it for free or release it for around €30 or $30.
So, The Last of Us is being released unbroken. Okay. It's confirmed that it's releasing broken and unfinished?
No, not that. He's talking about live service games specifically.
Oh, live service. I thought you said The Last of Us. Okay.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that next. Last of Us.
Oh, okay. So, we're talking about live service games, I mean?
Yeah.
And which game are you referring to?
Any game. Like, most of the games are either released unfinished, broken, or a combination of both.
Oh, I got one for
or
you.
They don't have enough content. Like, I can name you Thief didn't launch with enough content. Cost $60. Anthem didn't launch with enough content and launched broken. Cost $60.
Anthem just launched like trash.
Yeah. Heck, even Destiny, when it first launched for $60, it didn't have enough content. Division, you love Division.
Yeah, that's what
Division
I was gonna
1,
say. Division.
when it first launched, I'm talking about Gold. When it first launched, it didn't have enough content. $60. That's what I'm talking about. Not to mention the downgrade that the Division received, but we're not gonna go there. What do you thought, Ghost?
Sounds like he's cutting in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am driving. 1 second. Let me put this on this real quick. Hold up. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear
Yeah.
you.
Hold up. That shit was super low, dude. Hold up. I'm gonna kill everybody on the highway. Hold up.
This man out here
Dude.
doing 80 trying to
Are you,
podcast
are
though.
you sure you're not in a shopper
The
or something like
dedication.
that?
No, I'm not. No, I'm actually driving. I'm driving.
It's the dedication for me.
But no, like, no, it's in the goddamn
Absolutely.
motorcade. Like, that dude like ride me, and in the car in front of me, part of the motorcade, he's driving all fucking slow. Anyways, so from a monetary sport, if I was to give you everything up front, and my game was lackluster or it was not all that good, would you then buy season 2? Would you then buy DLCs? Would you then buy microtransactions? Would you then buy anything?
No, your game needs to be good in order for me to do that.
Okay. So if my game launches and it's half-ass decent, but there's a promise of whether it be patches, whether it be DLC, whether it be further content, that keeps you coming back, right? With the promise.
No, actually I move
Are you
on.
sure?
Yeah, I actually move
Are
on
you
from
sure?
your game. If your game doesn't have enough content for me to be invested in, then I'm moving on from your game. If your game released unfinished and broken, I'm not gonna invest my time in your game. I'm sorry, my time is way more important than what's called playing your game. Very simple for me then.
Right, for you, because there's 850 to 1.5 million Destiny 2 players that disagree with you, right? There's I don't know how many. There's 6 Halo
Actually,
players.
Destiny player left and come back and left and come back. They play, they leave,
Right.
they come back.
Right. Why are they coming back, Omar?
Because they want more content. But that's the thing, though. They leave.
Doesn't matter that they leave, but they come back and they buy that content. I think that, and this is just my perspective, is that I think some of these games come out and we won't turn a console war thing because Destiny does it, but a lot of these places, a lot of these developers leave a lot of open-ended stuff so that they can draw you back in, so that they can monetize that, so that they can capitalize on, because everybody keeps leaving. And I'll just speak on Destiny's behalf, and I love Destiny, but people left it. But then when the Witch Queen came back, everybody bought it. Everybody came back. Then this season comes out. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's just, I don't fall for the old banana in the tailpipe. Like you, me, or the people panel members may think that the game doesn't have content, but I also think that that's a ploy to keep you in growth. It's like, hey, look what we got here. We got Forge Mode, or we got this, Gangs of New York, or we got Witch Queen DLC. I just, that's how I look at it.
And it's okay.
I think they do it on purpose.
So you think it's done on purpose? Interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, he agrees with what Morgan said. It's the carrot. Let me dangle the carrot this far out so you keep coming, and you think you're gonna get the carrot, but you're never really gonna get it, right? I just got to keep it in your view so you keep running that hamster wheel.
So
I'm gonna dangle it in front of you.
He was listening to us without us knowing. He stole Morgan talking point and used it on it for his own.
Don't try to turn this away from you, okay?
I'm joking.
I see what you're trying to do, Omar. You're trying to turn the gun away from you, but it's still on you. So don't do that. Leave Ghost alone.
No, okay. Sorry, talk. What frustrates me?
No, but it's common.
it's the gamers that are getting hurt by it. Not only that, it's a publisher, it's the developers as well, and also the studio. Like for example, I'm not trusting what's called BioWare
Yeah.
with the game. I'm sorry, I'm
Well, well,
simply
well,
not.
well. That's the perfect example of you're as good as the last thing you did, right?
Besides,
They fucked up royally, on several accounts. Whether or not who made them do it or whatever. Their last game was terrible, and now they've lost all that goodwill that the team built up over the years, and now they got to re-get that back. So yeah, you'd be perfectly right in that.
gotcha. Okay, well, with that being said, it's 1 o'clock for me. I'm going to end it. Is that what you expected, Morgan, for me to say? Do you really believe I'm gonna run away? Okay.
Sir, look, ain't
Now,
nobody scared of you, okay? Like I'm ready to give
maybe
you the smoke that
you
you so
will.
desperately keep
Maybe
asking
at
for. I mean,
first
No
apparently you
one is
didn't get
scared of
enough
you,
of it
Omar.
in the
right.
space
You'll.
that told you were wrong when you thought you was right. But I guess you want that second round. I am more than
You was
happy to deliver
make.
that to you.
You was making assumptions about me left and
Oh man,
right
speaking of making
in
assumptions,
group
oh
chat.
man,
Uh
There's
oh.
ain't that
not
what caught you that
assumptions.
L though?
Are you hold
There's
on?
Omar
no
Are
making
you
facts.
making
not?
assumptions.
No.
Facts,
Are you not the one that said
facts,
I'm
not
asking someone to
Nah,
assumptions.
that's
join
what.
me?
See, assumptions is what got us here, Omar.
No, no, no,
Give
no.
him that
We're
smoke.
gonna talk about it. Okay, so
Oh, let's talk about
Last
it.
of
Let's
Us,
talk about it.
Last of Us, got leaked on first hand, and then it got leaked second time, which was last night. And here's the thing: for me, when it first was revealed, they said a remake from the ground up, and the developer came out and said remake from the ground up. They're gonna what's called they're gonna be the definitive edition, this and that. So everyone, and I repeat, no, not everyone, because I had a few that didn't. Most of us, and I repeat,
hmm
most of us,
Me
then
included.
you included,
hmm
okay, then assumed that it's gonna be Last of Us 1 with Last of Us 2 gameplay. So when the gameplay got revealed, which was last night, it they changed a lot of things. I'm not saying that they didn't. The co-op buddy system, that's fantastic, and all that stuff is great. Give me a second, because I want to name drop them up, because I genuinely appreciate what they're doing, but it's not for me. I'm gonna call it what it is, and if you, because I actually got that, what's called, bookmarked, the changes, so I don't have assets. So, new AI physics, haptic feedback, and 3D audio, 60 plus accessibility option, audio description mode, no idea what that is, new unlockable costumes, I don't care about that, model viewer, absolutely worthless, speedrun and permadeath mode, speedrun is iffy. Okay, so question, and for you, Deli, speedrun, if you would need to work on something like that, how long does it take for a developer to work on something? Is that something you can do 1, 2, 3, or does it take a lot of work to implement something like that?
I mean, you would have to have like, I'm assuming, timers and maybe gameplay constraints or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a speedrun mode, if it's just if it's what I'm thinking it is,
It
which
is
is like just
speedrun
setting
mode.
up, which is just timers and to gauge how much time you have
Mm-hmm.
when you're not in a cutscene. I mean, I could take, I don't know, it could take maybe like 40 days to make.
40 days. Wow. What about so okay, so workbenches, that the workbench, new art direction, and 4K 30 FPS, dynamic 4K 60 FPS. Plus, there is the co-op the buddy system, and how what's called um, now your AI, your co-op buddy AI, is going to actually pay attention where an enemy is heading, so they don't get caught. So that's fantastic. Because in the first game, Ellie would be literally moving between the two enemies, and we had to let it slide because of uh, game restraint. Is that right, Deli?
Yeah, they just basically what they did was they just made Ellie like unkillable, and then
Yep,
that's how they solved that. They were like, "Oh, that'll work."
yep. And even in the second game, we had that a little bit. I've seen characters run through enemies, not through, but next to enemies without them ever getting any
Well, they
attention.
don't detect
So you
them.
say that's an improvement from The Last of Us 2. Oh, okay. All right.
I mean,
Cool.
I look, man. I think The Last of Us remastered is worth it, and I mean, I'm glad I'm here
Hmm.
to
Thank you,
listen
Deli.
to anybody who thinks it isn't,
Hmm.
because I'm sure me and Morgan could say
Okay,
otherwise.
so
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, we turned out to be wrong because there is no change to the gameplay core mechanic. They're not gonna implement that in the second game. So here is my issue with all of that. One, it's a remake, fantastic. Everything, most of the things that you mentioned, I'm down for. However, when it comes to custom and stuff like that, that's pointless. That's literally pointless because it's not needed. I would rather have something tangible that I can experience than a costume that I can change. When it comes to what's called the figurine that can look at and stuff like that, that's outside the game. That shouldn't be even celebrated. Like that shit we get most of the time. We even used to get them unlockable. Like nah, dude, we're not gonna do that. There is something called Miles Morales and Spider-Man. They did that unlockable. You can see, I can name drop you so many games that show you the character model and let you know about the game and stuff like that. We're not celebrating that. Um, DualSense, great, but that's a given because it's a PS5. If not, if your game is not a PS5 game and you have DualSense integration in it, we have issue. We have big issue. To the matter of fact, that might actually make me not buy your game because you have not put enough effort into the system that I want to play on and make use of all components. That was the reason why I have yet to play Psychonauts 2. It doesn't have PlayStation 5 native. Now here is my biggest issue with no prawn, no anything like that. And I'm going to keep it very simple when it comes to the $70 price tag. I don't care about it. $70 is not my issue, not 70 euro, 80 euro. My biggest issue is if you're not doing anything new, and I'm talking about core gameplay mechanic new, adding new stuff in it, then I'm not gonna play it day one. And this comes from a person that beat the main game close to 6 times between The Last of Us 1, which was on PlayStation 3, 3 times, then The Last of Us 2, Last of Us 1 remastered with permadeath, which grounded. Not permadeath, sorry, grounded. I beat it normally and then I beat it on grounded twice. Um, I can't stress this enough. I love The Last of Us. I used to think Naughty Dog is the best developer out there, but then Guerrilla Games came with Rise of Forbidden West and said, "Hold my beer." But my biggest issue with Naughty Dog right now is you're not offering me a new experience. You're catering to the other people and not your core audience. You have a blueprint that is The Last of Us 2 with new enemies and stuff like that. I understand you wanna be faithful, but you don't need to. You absolutely don't need to. And for the people that wanna come and talk, what's called, you wanna be realistic, joke and prone, go prone or whatsoever. Dude, it's a game. We die in a game, we come back. We have glitches, we have this, we have that. We have stuff that we had needed to accept and if in order to play the game, which is what I was talking about because of what's called weaker hardware. How Ellie would be literally walking in front of the enemy, and we are thinking, okay, she is invisible. They are not seeing her. So at the end of the time, at the end of the day, the celebration seems to be mixed. Some people are happy with what's saying. I'm not. I gonna call it what it is. It's a remaster with bells and whistles, and that's it. This is for me. It's not a remake. This is, and apparently they're not even calling it a remake. So there's that. But if it's not a remake, then what is it? Definitive edition? It should be called a remake and be critiqued as a remake. And I'm frustrated because I wanted to experience it. I wanted a new gameplay mechanic so I can experience it. But with this now, not only I have more than 100, 200 games to play, I would have genuinely, despite every game that's coming out in September, which is Valkyrie Elysium, including Valkyrie Profile that I never played, I would have put them aside and played The Last of Us 1 again, just to experience the new gameplay. But since it's not getting a new gameplay, and it's more getting like almost like some stuff is from the ground up, and other stuff is just fan servicey. I call what it is. It's a remaster with bells and whistles, and I'm not the only one.
Okay.
I've spoken to a dev that said the same exact thing. I'm gonna start with Telly.
Actually, I want to start with Morgan. I want to hear what she has.
Yeah,
to
I don't know why
Morgan,
he
I
for
actually
some
want
reason he
Morgan.
felt like I wasn't gonna start. Like, hold up.
You wanna be
Go
fast?
ahead.
Go ahead first. I actually wanted to save you to last because I know you have a lot.
Omar,
to say. Go
like,
ahead.
once again, you allow your feelings to cloud your mind. Just because a game does not have the features that you feel that it should have does not mean that you can just change a definition of what a remake is, sir. That is not how it works. I keep telling you, the Final Fantasy and Resident Evil like have y'all so confused about what a remake is just because they went above the norm of what people do as a remake. That's all of a sudden, if a game isn't doing that, then it's no longer a remake. That's absurd, Omar. That's absurd. A remake is a game that's built for a new platform, just built from the ground up. It doesn't matter if it doesn't have new gameplay mechanics or new story arcs, new characters, whatever. That's not what makes a remake a remake. And I'm not upset at your opinion. You know, everybody has an opinion on whether or not they want to buy this game, right? It is what it is. If you don't want to buy it, you don't want to buy it. And it's not my job to sell it to you. That's Naughty Dog. So, feel free to skip this and get it later or never. But like I'm not here to debate your opinion on whether the game is worth it or not. That's you. But when you start saying things like it's not a remake, it's a remaster, it's it's just the blatant disrespect to all the work that Naughty Dog did just because they didn't add 2 button prompts that you wanted. Like it's crazy. Like I get it. I wanted prone.
No, it's not.
No, look, Omar, I let you talk uninterrupted.
But
let me go. All right. All right. Look, I get it. We all wanted prone and dodge. I wanted it too, but they never told us that they were adding it. They said we learned from Uncharted 4 and The Last of Us 2, and we're gonna, use what we learned and apply it to this remake. That didn't mean we're gonna add prompt. We're gonna add prone and we're gonna add dodge. That's not. We all just assumed that. I assumed it as well. But just because it's not there doesn't mean Naughty Dog lied, which is also something you said, that Naughty Dog was lying. That's not true. They never explicitly said that they were going to do that. And I get it. Like, we wanted that. But after seeing that 10-minute trailer, 10-minute gameplay segment, like all the work that is evident that they put into this remake honestly made me even more excited. Like, I'm ready for the 3D audio to be scared shitless and hear those motherfuckers around the corner. I'm ready to feel the bow that Ellie got and reload the shotgun and blast Clicker's legs off and shit. Like, I'm ready for all of that. But at the end of the day, it's a remake. Like, and just because the word remake is not on the box, that does not mean it's a remaster, because remaster isn't on the box either. So you can't just change definitions, Omar. It's a remake. Okay, like I said, don't let Final Fantasy VII and Resident Evil confuse you on what the standard is for a remake. That may be your personal standard to justify a full purchase for a game, but that's not the definition. That's
if one company is capable of doing something and the same company is capable of doing something but make it different, and they both
but how long does Square Enix spend on Final Fantasy VII Remake though, Omar?
Can you repeat that?
How long did Square Enix spend making Final Fantasy VII Remake?
I don't know, 5 years, 6 years? I'm not sure.
And how long did Naughty Dog spend on this remake?
1,000,000 years.
3 years?
And you expect the same, all the same things that Final Fantasy VII had?
Yes, and here is why. Because they called it a remake. Not only that.
Omar!
Let me continue.
Go ahead, bro.
Not only that, it's not my job to tell them when to release a game or not when to release a game or announce a game. It's on them. This is why they cut corners. They're the ones that said...
What corners? What?
You say you want... I literally just told you. If you have a publisher, or just you have 2 publishers that already did show you how to make a remake, and they did it well, then what's holding you back from doing it when you literally release a second game that is on the same
Naughty Dog is spending time working on multiple projects. I'm pretty sure they don't want to spend 5 years remaking The Last of Us.
So then why even start making the remake in the first place? If you're gonna have assets, which that's clearly what they just did, then...
So because they don't have the features you want, it's half-ass.
No, because they're not putting... Because
they don't have the features Omar wants, the game is half-assed.
It's absolutely half-assed.
Because they don't have the features Omar wants, the game is half-assed.
No,
that's what you're saying.
Hold on. It's not what I want. It's what we all want.
Okay.
It's what... Oh, wait. There's a lot of...
It's Kay. She's breaking up bad.
1 second.
I'm breaking up bad?
You're better now.
Yeah,
You're better.
You're
back.
Okay. I was just saying that The Last of Us 2, I think it spoiled a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that?
But I also think that maybe. Well, like you said, the new features. Well, they weren't, in the original game, and you didn't have a problem with not having those then. And now that you got a taste of, different mechanics, you want them to add that to the original game for the remake. But I think maybe we need to take a step back and decide. I mean, to figure out like what is the definition of a remake, what is the definition of a remaster, and then go from there. Because it almost sounds like each person kind of has their own interpretation of the definition.
Omar, the only one who has his own
No,
interpretation.
no.
And that's where, people get into fights.
No, but Kay, not to cut you off, I literally spoke with a developer.
I know
that said
you
that's a
always cut me
remaster.
off. You cut everybody off, Omar. It's
No,
okay.
but
You don't have to
what I'm trying
apologize for it. It's expected.
What I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to say is, when a developer don't even know what a remake or what a remaster, then we have an issue. Derry says,
Sorry, that's
Derry calls
You're
it a
always going to have
just one
developers
developer.
on one side or the other. That doesn't it doesn't
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, developers are still people too, you know.
yeah, that just because you got one doesn't mean that's okay. That's what it is.
I'm gonna explain this, Omar. Like I
No,
explain to
before you
people
go,
all the time. Hold on, I
Kay
got
was
you.
talking.
Because this is hold on, because this is fault. No, what she's talking about isn't really what you're questioning, right? That's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna reiterate it. One of the things I told you that was irritating to me over the years was people who keep calling The Legend of Zelda an RPG, and they go, well, what makes an RPG and all these other things, right? And I'm like, this isn't a discussion, motherfucker. Refer to Nintendo, who does not call it that. That's it. The developer told you this is what it is. That's what it is. What it's missing is irrelevant because that's what it is. If I come out with a car tomorrow and I call it the 3CX, it is the 3CX. You can't be like, well, according to what I know 3CX to be, it should be this, right? You can't change it, is what everybody's saying. You can disagree and you can say, like, I don't think it's enough for me, and that's fine. But you can't be like, well, they say it's a remake and I say it's not because they didn't do X,
Absolutely.
B, X, B, and C. They can call whatever they want a remake. You have to, that part you have to accept, right? The part you don't have to accept is whether or not it's good enough for you, and that's the difference. So that's what you really
your
should be
opinion's fine, but you can't change the definition of what a remake is, Omar. Like you can feel like it's not enough for you, which is that's perfectly acceptable. Like it's not enough for me to justify the purchase day one. Cool. But it doesn't make it not a remake though.
Yeah, they remade the game, just like Shadow of the Colossus, which I know you like, which has been remade like twice. And
No, they remastered it first, and then they remade it.
Same.
Yeah,
same thing.
They remastered it twice because there was a bundle, and then there was a PlayStation 3 update, and then there was a remake.
Yeah, and then they did their remake. Yeah, but essentially the game still didn't change, regardless of them having a remaster and a remake, right?
And
the game is still the game. Like I played it on PS2, I played it on PS3, and I played it on PS4.
Did you
They didn't add
hear me
anything.
talk about what's called Shadow of the Colossus remake? Or no? Because I said it verbatim on Vitamin G podcast. They missed out on not adding a new Colossus.
But that's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine. But that does not make it not a remake, is what we're saying.
Like they could
You
if they wanted
didn't
to,
say
but that
it
doesn't
wasn't-
change.
yeah.
Look, I would have agreed with, but again, if you have one company, my issue is I truly believe we need a new definition, not a new definition.
No.
But what you are talking about is
No, let me
already
explain.
exists, Omar, which is
What
a
is it?
reimagining.
No, they never say. Wait, when they say what's called Final Fantasy, they call it a remake. Lost aside from the name and why and so on and so on. I'm talking
But
about.
you've played Final Fantasy VII
Let me
and the remake,
let me say it like
right?
this. Hold on. Let me say it like this. If I tell you that I'm going to give you ice cream, and I in one hand I hand you ice cream that's just on a cone, and it's just a scoop of vanilla, and then another I get you a bowl and it's got ice. It's got the ice cream. It's got sprinkles on it. It's got whipped cream. It's got cake pieces. It's got Oreo pieces. It's got all this shit. It's still ice cream, Omar. Just because they added shit, it's not gonna get a whole different name. Ice cream. The ice
Both
cream
of
is
them are
also
still ice
vanilla,
cream. One
and
just
ice
has
cream
more
with
on
all
it.
the shit in it is still ice cream. Like it doesn't change just because I added shit to it. It is what it is, and that's the
But
same
you're
way.
getting a different experience. But this is again.
That doesn't matter, Omar. It's still a remake.
I need to ask someone like I'm gonna go back to Jerry because I genuinely truly believe. I want to see if I'm the only person to think that. Um, do we need? Okay, listen.
You
I
might
need
be
to.
the only person here.
No, but everyone's gonna have a chance to talk. Trust me.
Yeah,
I don't let anyone not talk. My question is, and I'm not the only one that's having an issue with this. When
And that's
you
fine.
have
You can have an issue.
no, but
Omar,
when,
no one's
no,
discrediting your
no,
issue,
no.
though.
I'm not talking about expectation versus reality. I'm just talking about the definition of a remake. How two companies can do something, name it the same, but have it totally different. Shouldn't there be then a new word for it? Like, for example, reimagination, or
Wait,
revamp.
what two companies are you talking about, Omar?
So
Like,
he's
for
saying
example,
because they
Square
labeled
Enix
Final Fantasy
versus
VII
Naughty Dog.
remake a remake when clearly it's actually it's more than that, right?
I mean, yeah, there's new content.
Yeah, there's new content. It's not simply a remake.
Yeah, it's
That's
like new
what.
content, new battle
Yeah,
but
system.
that's what
I
I'm
mean,
trying
upgraded
to say.
graphics.
That's
I
what
yeah,
I'm
but
mean,
trying to
they
explain
just
it.
they're saying they remade it in a different image, right? The remake in itself does not entitle us to more of something. That's just what they chose to do with it. We're
yeah,
saying
like
there's a
look at the COD 4
baseline.
remake, right?
But
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
what
it's
I'm
still COD
trying.
4.
That's
So
what
what
I'm
we're
trying
Yeah.
to
saying there's a
say.
baseline to the remake, right? You must do this much to reach what is called a remake, right? Now you can do this, and this, which is what you liked from Final Fantasy VII, right? It is not a requirement to do this, and this, though, to be considered a remake. You see what I'm saying? But you like those things, which there's nothing wrong with that. But that doesn't require a different definition because the base part of the definition still applies, right? The base doesn't change because another company went above and beyond and essentially created something beyond a remake, right? It doesn't change because of that. That's just an example, right? It's like someone who drives a Honda and someone drives a BMW, right? Both of them are still a car. I don't care how much more car anyone considers a BMW. It is hand built, hand stitched leather, all these
Yeah,
things,
it's
right?
still a
It's
sedan.
still a
Yeah.
car. Yeah, it's still a sedan. You got two sedans, Honda Accord and a BMW, right? They're still both cars, though. There's a baseline that is called car, and like to someone the BMW is going to be amazing, or the BMW costs more money. There's all these different things that make them different cars, but they're still both cars, much like both of these games that we're discussing are both remakes. That's what we're saying. It doesn't change the base definition. That's why we're saying it doesn't require a different one, because Naughty Dog is essentially doing the base in what you're considering the base for what a remake would be, but you wanted more than that. You wanted the other version of that. You wanted the S class package or the platinum, version when it comes to cars.
So if someone say now remake, I need to always think that a remake one by one. If they want to add something, they gonna say we're adding this and we're adding that.
Exactly. Because they could change it, right? Like I'm gonna tell you right now, because someone brought the question up, right? Broken brought the question up, right? The 1-to-1 versus the reimagining shit of like Final Fantasy VII remake. I do not ever in my entire life want Xenogears remade with the alterations that they made to Final Fantasy VII remake. I don't care who on God's green earth on this planet thinks they want that shit. If they are going to remake Xenogears, I want it exactly the way it was.
Preach, my brother, preach.
Period. And that is a remake for me. I'm good exactly the way it is. Make it prettier, make it in the Zero Dawn engine or whatever. I can't remember what the name of it is right now. But whatever,
Decima
make it.
engine?
Yeah, the Decima engine. Remake it in that, make it hella pretty. But if you mess with my combat, my story, or any of this other stuff, I'm gonna cut somebody. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't play when it comes to that. And that is a remake. That is factually a remake, and I'm good with that.
It's crazy because like 80% of remakes are like 1-to-1, but it's like ever since Final Fantasy VII remake and Resident Evil 4 or whatever, people have made that the baseline. Like, okay, that's 1-to-1 is no longer the baseline. We want.
It's Resident
Sorry,
Evil
go ahead,
2,
Morgan.
3,
No, you're going
and
ahead,
then
Kay.
4.
I was done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
we'll
was
just
gonna
go
say.
down.
Look at Resident Evil 3 remake. They cut content. I mean,
know.
people still consider that a remake.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
I
they
remember
lose-
that came out.
we lost.
I even said, this game should have been with what's called with 2 or something like that. They shouldn't have released the way they released it because they cut content out of it.
You talking about Resident Evil 3?
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. But we're free to feel that way, but it's still a remake. Like,
Yeah, I mean, look, how I see it, Omar, is that when you're adding those part 2 accessibility features after moving engines, that is a butt ton of work. Like that's a ridiculous amount of work, and to alone for the accessibility features, that is worth the asking price to me, anyways. And that should be worth the asking price to anybody because it's an entire new audience that gets the physical experience. That is so critical to the game, and that's so critical to, I mean, the franchise in on itself, right? I mean, having a blind person be able to play it, that's insane, dude. Being able to, have a person who's hard of hearing to play it, that's insane. Everything else is just icing on the cake for us, which we've already experienced the game, right? And then since it's on a new engine, like, yeah, that classifies it as a remake. If it was still on the old engine, which, and it was just like HD enhanced or whatever,
yeah,
it would be a remake.
Yeah, it's a brand new engine.
Yeah. This entire new engine is, I mean, like the old Last of Us engine is 10 years old now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 10 years plus years old, right? The remaster came out 8 years ago at a time where accessibility was barely even thought of. Like nobody cared about any of that stuff back in. I mean, look at just the remaster. That was only 8 years ago. Nobody cared about it 8 years ago. Barely anybody cared about it 6 years ago. I mean, look at Horizon Zero Dawn. That game came out 6 years ago, and there was like zero accessibility options. Forza Horizon didn't get accessibility options until the new one came out 2 years ago. So you got to think that like those choices that they made back in the day are built into the engine itself. So like we can't just add new features. Like we can't just patch in new stuff. So think of it as like if you had 8 years of development time, it's near impossible to force that engine to do anything that it wasn't designed to do originally, which is all of this extra stuff that they wanted to add in, right? And so when it comes to The Last of Us 2's newer engine, that engine that Naughty Dog built from the ground up from scratch, in the last 2 or 3 years, that started development with all of these accessibility features in mind, with all of these designs in mind, with all of this stuff that blossomed over the last couple of years, prone, dodge, whatever, realistic animation, skin texturing, SSAO, that all of that stuff that comes with it, like all of that stuff is built and baked into the engine. So when The Last of Us 2 came out, it received a butt ton of praise on all fronts, animation, lighting, all of that stuff. So now we have that new engine and we have this game that's super awesome. Now we have to go back and apply that stuff to The Last of Us 1 to give it to a new audience. Because you got to remember, we've experienced this game in real time. So to us, it's just, like we can just walk into our backyard. Oh, look, that's 2013, 2014. Like in 2013, I was a freshman in high school. I vividly remember this game coming out, And
you didn't play it remastered for you?
No, I did play the remastered like a year later because my friend gifted it to me.
Okay.
But I haven't played The Last of Us 1 in 8 years. So, you know what I mean? Like,
a few years ago.
Yeah, so you played it recently. But you got to think like this game is like very recent in our memory, right? But my younger sister, to put it into perspective, just turned 18. So she legally is able to buy this game for the first time if she was never able to play it prior. which she never was, because like I didn't give her my PlayStation 3. I recently bought her a PlayStation 4 not too long ago. So for now, she's never played that game. She's watched other people play it, but she's never played it herself, and she wasn't able to go out into the store and legally buy it. So again, a totally new audience. It's key to the franchise. This remaster may or may not be for us. I mean, like, we have the original one, and then we have the PlayStation 4 remaster for it, and then this remake, like, it may not be for us, and that's perfectly fine. But you also have to think, if we're going back to play this game, 10 years worth of engine work, 10 years worth of animation work, 10 years worth of AI, 10 years worth of knowledge and experience, when we're able to put that into the game, potentially over 60 accessibility options, potentially over an entire new set of animations and stuff that were not capable before of the last one, like, we have to charge money for it. They have to charge money for it, right? Like, because you can't just patch things in, the accessibility isn't free. It would never be free because of the engine issues. So now they're charging however much they're charging for it, which you can beef with that how you beef with that. It doesn't matter to me. I have no problem paying $70 for it.
Oh yeah, we don't doubt here.
I may wait for it. I may not. Who knows? Ask me when September comes. But all of this stuff remade. All of this stuff from the ground up, all these resources, all the power, all the cost, all the new stuff that they added to the game. I mean, the game looks, people can argue and say, oh, the game doesn't look that different, whatever. But again, you also have to understand, like, this game is in recent memory. But if you've never played this game before, this game looks phenomenal. It looks like a movie. It looks stellar. It looks awesome. And all of those micro adjustments that they made inside gameplay to modernize it is great, But then we have to look on the technical aspect. If you wanted to add prone and diving and you wanted to add this, you got to think The Last of Us 2 is a severely faster game than The Last of Us 1. The Last of Us 1 is also designed on like super old school game development. So like all of the levels are really tiny. All of the levels are very pipelined. Everything is like hallway, corridor, room. It's very, very so much just a bunch of small rooms and big rooms connected with hallways. If you add diving, running, jumping, all this crazy mantling stuff and climbing to the game in a speed of that fashion, like Ellie, I mean, it would potentially break the game. It would destroy the core experience. You cannot expect them to continue to do this kind of stuff and add these wild gameplay features without redesigning levels, without replacing enemies, without adding new stuff, and that again may or may not tarnish the original experience of the core structure. So I'm sure that they have much better metrics than me, and I'm sure they've tried to actually do all of this extra stuff, and then they play tested it and it didn't go well, or it compromised on the vision that they originally had. I mean, Neil Druckmann is on the team. It's not like he isn't. So I can only imagine that adding that extra stuff may or may not work as well as you expect it to. But all of that work that they put in, like years of work, I'm talking like 2-3 years of work, like I don't discount that work at all. And since they moved engines, it classifies it as a remake. So, I mean, if you look at COD 4, which was technically a remaster, they stayed on the same engine because Call of Duty doesn't update their engine ever that much. They just recently did a rebuild of the Infinity Ward engine not too long ago. So that was like their new updated engine, like V4 or whatever, version 4.0 is able to handle all the new graphical stuff. So they changed all the graphical stuff, but they still used all of the same source code because all of the same bugs are still in the game. If we look at moving engines from The Last of Us 1 to Last of Us 2, I don't know how much of the original source code they can use, but you would have to build a lot of this stuff from the ground up. So it's impossible to, even if it feels or plays the same, that's deliberate by the developers, but it's not the same game. Like structurally, foundationally, it's not the same game.
I didn't even think about that because The Last of Us 2 is a lot more vertical of a game than The Last of Us. I mean, Ellie was on roofs and
She can swim.
yeah, she can swim. She was able to prone under cars. Like The Last of Us 1 doesn't have that. And so they would literally have to rebuild the maps and the areas in order to make prone and dodge work in that game. And yeah, nah.
Yeah, and so
it would probably break the game.
It would probably
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
And you also have to think about the breakables, the sheer amount of breakables that are in
I'm excited about that.
It is nuts. That is like an insane amount of breakables. It's ridiculous. New physics engine, new lighting engine, new smoke particle engine. Like, it's insane. Like, there's so much new stuff that's in the game that may or may not look that great to you, which is fine. But I mean, I think that all of that new stuff, like underneath, like to use that car analogy, like all of that new engine work, underneath, like it's not, it may look like the same car. Like, you can cram like a giant engine into a Honda Civic. Like, it's a Honda Civic, but my Honda Civic goes, 200 miles an hour. Yours doesn't. You cannot classify that as the same car. You can't classify that in the same class, genre, whatever it may be, So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Gotcha. Kay?
Appreciate you, Deli.
Okay. I didn't forget about you.
What's up? What's the
What do you want to say?
So Nelly, like, from your standpoint, when you worked at Ubisoft, like, did you all ever have like discussions about like Naughty Dog, like, what are these dudes doing? Like,
Good question. But can we do that later? Because I want.
The short answer for you is yes. Like, whenever a new game comes out, people will always talk about it in the studio. But yeah, I can go in depth later.
Okay. Because otherwise it would be two different conversations. I want to take the one conversation and then go to the next one. Okay. You want to say something?
I mean, I'm gonna say that they rebuilt the game closer to their original.
You're biting a little bit, Kay.
So, can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound better now.
Hello.
You sound good.
Okay, so yeah, didn't Neil Druckmann say like when they did this, I'm gonna say what they say, remake, right? That they were able to build it closer to their original vision. If they could build a perfect game for what they did for The Last of Us 1, that's how they built it, right? So hey, listen.
You're botting a lot.
You're botting a little bit again, Kay.
Leave and come back, yeah.
Okay. Well.
Leave and come back.
What was I saying?
Oh man, Omar just trying to get you to leave. You hear this?
No, I want her to leave and come back.
It might just be where
Discord
leaving's gonna help.
Oh shit. You're so much butting that it's absolutely ununderstandable. That's why.
All right, here, give her a second. Oh, here she is.
Just leave the conversation, come back.
She already did.
Most of the time it was.
Better?
Is
that...
Nah.
No, it's where I am. Like I'm getting stuff put in a storage shed, like out in the middle of nowhere. So
now it's better. Go ahead.
Yeah, stay right there, wherever you're.
Okay.
Don't move.
Like I'm trying to move around in this car so I get some kind of a good signal.
Okay.
I think
anyway,
if you talk slowly.
So they were trying to go for their original vision. And for The Last of Us 1, maybe dodging and proning wasn't in their original vision for the game, so therefore they didn't try to reimagine the game with these new mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
agreed.
Gotcha.
So.
Viper.
Well, I'm gonna put it like this: on a scale of 1 to 8, if we're ranking everybody's opinion here, and Omar is an 8, I'm at the 1 spot.
Okay.
They could slap lipstick on the motherfucker, I'd still buy
lipstick. Oh man, he said
Gotcha.
to dress her up a little bit.
So with that being
Well, that's enough. We.
with that
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Piper.
yeah, no. Yeah, I was about to say with that being said, um I pre-ordered it. I'm ready to play it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not going to play it day one because, you know,
You
for the
already
same
experienced that.
reasons you
Yeah.
wouldn't play it day one. But I have the game in my back pocket, knowing I can play it whenever I want to.
Gotcha. We.
Yeah, sorry, Omar, but it's a remake.
Tell him, Weeb. Tell him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but I'll spare you the roast because I think Morgan already did a fine job
Oh
with that.
man, I still love you, Omar.
I don't want you to start crying and run away and never do the podcast
Wait,
again.
if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Come on, go ahead, continue.
But yeah, I mean, look, I tweeted about it as well. Like after they leaked the gameplay, which was I think pretty low resolution, and um, people were talking about like, oh, they didn't change anything, and like like I said, look, I'm gonna be honest. If the game is just new character models and because we didn't know anything about the features, but and they didn't change anything else, then yeah, then I probably don't need to buy day one and I could wait for a sale because then it's just essentially the same experience without any aside from graphics any real improvements. Then I'm fine waiting on it. But after they and that obviously was perfect timing after they revealed what was actually going to be changed in the game. I'm back on board. I mean, I'm getting that day one, and unless we get some surprise announcement of a game that wasn't announced or doesn't have a release date and is going to release at around the same time, I'm probably going to be playing that because I mean I like what I've seen from from that video. I definitely love all the improvements they made, the accessibility options especially. I'm while they're not for me per se, I'm quite a champion for that because I do believe that uh, gaming needs to be more accessible for a larger audience. Um, so I do hope that that's going to be more and more the standard. At least I do appreciate what Naughty Dog is doing there. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be their, as Kay said, this is their vision for what The Last of Us is supposed to be, right? They now have the tech, the engine to be able to um, make it closer to what they wanted with facial animations that better match the actual actors. Yeah, probably some gameplay improvements. I mean, I know that is probably not going to have all the ones that you want, Omar, or that a lot of people are clamoring about. But look, I get it too because things like prone, for example, um, were also integral into the gameplay experience of The Last of Us Part Two. Uh, that was not a mechanic of the first game, so if you're just going to add that and not really think about, I mean, then you probably would have to change level design to incorporate that mechanic, and then you would turn it into a different game. Then it's they could do that if they feel like okay that's matching our idea for the first game better than what we initially intended. But yeah, then it's more of a reimagining than an actual remake. Still can be a recall, a remake, that's fine. But I mean, if you want to stay true to your original vision and just improve it where needed, where you think, okay, yeah, this needs to be improved to make it more accessible or to better match, the performances, the polish up the gameplay to make it more streamlined and better matching The Last of Us Part Two. that's fine. But yeah, if you need to implement mechanics that because they were in Last of Us Part 2, and that will change, your level design or your mechanics, yeah, then you're fundamentally changing the game, and I can
Gotcha.
understand that they're not want to do that.
From the sound of it, you seem to me agree with me that when it comes to you just called you just said reimagination, so you just separated remake and reimagination. So do you think we need a different name change then?
I
Because you
mean, reimagining is already a term that's
it
being used that's especially used to describe Final Fantasy remake. Yeah, they call it remake,
mm,
but effectively it's a reimagining because they're changing the story. They're adding things to the story. They're expanding characters that were literally footnotes in the first game, and they're hinting at possibly changing the fate of a certain character. I don't even know why I'm not mentioning it, because if that's a spoiler at this point in
nah, it's
time.
spoilers right now. I'm pretty sure a few people haven't played uh,
Yeah,
Final
okay,
Fantasy 7
whatever.
right
That
now.
then I won't mention it. But
Thank
I
you.
mean, yeah, then and they explicitly said that, right? That these two coexist next to each other, but it's not that Resident Evil 7 remake is supposed to replace 7, as if this is how it was always intended to be. It's a different experience. So you can't call that a reimagining, and that's not saying that a remake necessarily has to replace the original experience, but that's kind of I'd say what from The Last of Us, they probably want you to consider this is the version. Yeah, they already said this is the definitive version. So this is essentially well, the canon version, right? So it largely won't affect anything in terms of story, but you have character models that have been changed to better reflect their voice actors. So you do have to consider that the characters look like this. That's actually how they're supposed to look like, and if those differ from the original game, and that's no longer kind of the same with Spider-Man, where they replaced the actor in the PS4 the PS5 version of the game. Yeah, that's the face of Peter Parker now. That's also the face in Miles Morales. So you don't have a choice there in accepting or thinking that they can coexist, because in Spider-Man 2 that's going to be the face as well of Peter Parker as well. Um, but yeah, with reimagining, you can still consider these two to exist separately. I mean, Resident Evil 2 remake, I love that game, but it clearly is not intended to be a one-to-one remake of the original. There are changes being made, and 3, as Deli mentioned, cut content. So it's not that we need, like you said, there's a distinction there, but it already exists, right? And I know that maybe it's a bit contradictory that we say sometimes developer, or at least the game might be called remake and it's not necessarily a remake, that we should follow their definition. I mean, but in the end, it's not that hard, right? I mean, remaster is very easily something that's just a polished up version of the original game, but generally uses maybe the same engine or same assets, but isn't actually well. It could be. I think there are examples of games that are remasters, but where they had to rebuild the original code from scratch because they didn't have it anymore. So that might be a bit of a gray area there. But in general, you know what the intent is. The intent is to not remake the game, but just bring you the original experience, but with higher resolution and some changes made to make it more playable on current gen hardware. A remake is quite clearly something that's built from the ground up, can be the exact same experience, or maybe some minor changes. And reimagining that, like I said, it can be completely different.
Gotcha. Ghost, I didn't forget about you. Go ahead, my man.
I am not the biggest like The Last of Us fan. Like they're interesting
What?
games.
I'm considering about kicking you off right now, cause
I mean, that's,
no, because here is why. You always say you're the eye candy guy. This is eye candy. This.
well, had you let me finish, you know what I'm saying, not
Go
cut me
ahead.
off, I would. um, Now, I did play like The Last of Us 2, and I was like, wow, this is visually striking, and this is awesome. And like I said, because of how I play games, I get around to them. Now, when I saw the 2-minute clip of The Last of Us, the remake, that is mouthwatering. It's eyeball melting, and I was just like, yikes. So, because I didn't play the first one, then I am going to get this one, right? And because if this is anything like The Last of Us 2 as far as visually, then yes. And so I'm going to check it out, and Sony's going to get my little $70, and we're going to go from there.
I'm
Gotcha.
jealous. So you get to experience
Okay.
it for the first time on the PS5. That's
Yep,
what's
it's
up.
gonna be expensive, man. I'm gonna explain something at least on my end. I don't know what others is. Just with how I didn't know the definition of cap. Thank you, Viper, for explaining that to me. I clearly didn't know the definition of a remake. In my head, I truly believed a remake is what we got with 7 Remake and what's called Resident Evil 3 and 2 and stuff like that. That's why I said Naughty Dog lied. So I was wrong. We're gonna move to the next topic, which Ghost, you brought up a very good point. How go ahead, ask it again. Oh, you said your face and you left.
No, I'm back. No, I'm back.
Oh, he's
I
back.
guess my question. I just put myself on mute. I guess my question was like, and this is just with I guess with Naughty Dog, with Insomniac, and it was to Deli. Like, I know you gave me your short answer, but like, do you all sit around and just like, especially I know that the developers and the publishers are very competitive and want to outdo the next person or provide the best possible game. But do you all just sit around like and be like, God Lord, what? How? You know, what are we doing? I mean, I know in our board meetings, and on our competitors, like we know what they're doing. We see what they're doing, and we get those questions too. We're like, what can we do? So, like for you, for example, when you guys are sitting in your meetings or whatever you guys are doing, and Naughty Dog drops The Last of Us 2, or do you all sit there and be like, what the fuck are we doing? Or how can we do that? Like, explain that dynamic to me.
Well, I mean, since everybody has their own office and stuff, or their little cubicles and such, I mean, sometimes I'll be walking through the office and I'll see other people playing games on their lunch breaks or, whatever it may be. But I just remember there were 2 or 3 games that were very, very notable in our studio in San Francisco. That was Death Stranding, Control, and not the Outer Wilds, but the Outer Worlds. I think that's the one, right? That one had like really, really Outer Worlds has like really stellar writing, especially about like 30% of the way into the story. It's like it just unravels and it's so funny. It's so mesmerizing to see characters that feel like they live and breathe in this world, and it's amazing. Death Stranding was a game that people were like, how did somebody make this game so fast? Because that game was developed in like 3 years, which was nuts at the time, because I think the original trailer that he showed off used the Sucker Punch
engine.
Yeah,
Yep.
he used the Sucker Punch engine, and then after that he swapped to obviously something else, the Decima engine. But yeah, that was something that we were like, there's no way this game could have been made in 3 years. Like, it's near impossible, and we had to eventually delay our game an entire year, to accommodate the new next gen systems and stuff. And he was able to make this game with this kind of fidelity, this kind of quality, this kind of acting, this kind of motion capture data, this kind of asset quality. It's just asinine. And Control was a game that we really loved as well too inside the studio. The amount of breakables, the fluidity of the control, because there's a lot of people in the game industry that just are like myself, are control centered gamers. So like if there is any amount of input lag, is there any amount of weight or sluggishness to a game, like we'll put it down and go play another video game. But Control.
So you didn't finish Red Dead Redemption 2, I presume.
No, I finished that game.
What?
You gonna stop
did finish
disrespecting Red Dead 2, sir? You gonna stop that?
No, the game was fun. I mean, it was clunky, but I mean, like, I put up with it. You know what I mean? But I mean, I'm not gonna revisit it. No, I played it once and I did what it did. But Control was a game that was like, wow, here's several genres meshing together. We loved the third person, obviously, because our game is third person. So majority of the games I listed are third person. So it was something that Control was like, wow, this game has ray tracing. So that from there we were able to be like, what if we put ray tracing in our game? And we managed to cram ray tracing on the Series S, which is, I think, actually at the moment right now, I think there's only like 2 or 3 games that do that. And our game is one of those games. So yeah, we do play games
for that.
Thank you. There are a bunch of games that we do play in the studio all the time. And then I do manage to, when they do company-wide testing, like I manage to play games that are, unreleased. So like, obviously I work at Microsoft now. So the new Elder Scrolls and there was another game. The new Elder Scrolls just opened up company-wide testing. So there's just, basically the host of Microsoft is able to go in and play it.
The new Elder Scroll?
Yeah.
It's playable?
I mean, it's like, I don't know how finished it is. It's probably like 1/64th of what it is, but they have
playing a part of it.
Yeah, there's something up and running. Like there's, it's finished enough to be like, okay, here's how it's gonna feel, or here's the general idea of what it's gonna look like.
Okay, gotcha.
It's still kind of ugly. It's still gray boxes, but I mean, like some of the animations are finished. Some of the first few enemies are done. We can walk around in this little area, and it's like, you can kind of get a feel and control of how the game feels.
If you need some play testers, just let me know.
Hey,
I'll be happy to help you out with that
internship resume up here. Yeah, so those are the few of the games that we really loved. When it came pulled from writing, because something about like evil corporations and stuff like that was something that was very crucial and critical for the Watch Dogs world. When it came from the original with Bloom, and then the second one's Bloom again and Noodle and other companies, and then this third one is more like a CTOS in terms of like a totalitarian government system, but it's still that core of like, rising up and forming a resistance and fighting against a larger entity. So that was something that we pulled out of Outer Worlds. So we just were fascinated by the writing and then like the layers of nuance that game holds. Death Stranding was like, they managed to make walking fun. So it was like, wow, this is like, we never imagined like, you would, somebody would come in and reimagine, mechanics for walking, like turn walking into a resource management system. Mm-hmm. It's like, I've never heard of that before. That was awesome. And then Control was just like, the visual fidelity, the ray tracing, how well it controlled, how well it played. Jesse felt fast and fluid at all times, even in the most hectic battles. So yeah, those 3 games are the ones that we played a lot, and I saw a lot of my coworkers playing.
Gotcha. Anyone have anything they want to add to this conversation? Then I'm gonna move on to the final topic, very quick, which is going to be.
I'm sorry. Hello. My mic was muted.
Sorry. Hello, nice to meet you. Who are you and what do you want to say?
I was about Did you just say who was I?
Yeah, I'm
Okay, never
joking.
mind.
Go ahead, Nate.
What?
He's not joking though.
Damn.
Okay, I know. Hey, so Deli, we all know the real fun in Death Stranding was the zip lines, not the walking, the zip lines.
Yes, it was the packages. Come on now.
Real talk. The real fun in Death Stranding was pinpointing from A to B, how to navigate between A to B. That I enjoyed a lot.
I can agree with that. I can agree with
Yeah,
that.
that's how I felt compelled to deliver packages, not to like deliver packages, but like because I wanted to, and like I wanted to see like how well I was at the game. Like, oh,
Oh
am I
yeah, I
am
got
I
Hmm.
able to
addicted
get
to that. I know how
yeah,
you feel.
am I able to get through this forest a lot faster than I was last time? Like,
Hmm.
am I setting a pathway? Like, am I? Oh yeah, and I'm leaving messages for people. Like, it was awesome. It was so
Yeah,
cool.
your glue gun is also does wonders. Um, the final topic is, and I'm disappointed in it because I'm like, why? So Atlas confirmed that Persona Royal for TF5 is not getting a free upgrade. You need to buy the game again. So for 60 FPS and DLC, I'm gonna start with you, Lily. Is that worth it?
I'm not gonna tell people what's worth it and what's not worth it. I
No,
mean,
just in your
I love
opinion.
I love the game, so I'll probably end up buying it. Uh,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I haven't seen any remastered gameplay yet, so I can't really give you a concrete definition of like whether or not it's a quote unquote cash grab or if it's something that's faithful and loving to the series and franchise. So I don't know. It could be like I don't know. It could be like Golden, Not I mean they already had Royal, but like it could be like another version of the game, or it could just be resolution bump, 60 FPS, no load screens, more music, and some other things like frame pacing, frame timing, rework dungeons and extra content, or all the DLC for free. You know what I mean? Like that could be something that some people may really really like that. If they
Gotcha.
didn't buy Royal the first time, right? But to me, since the game still works on PS4, like on PS5, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Like, anybody who already owns the game can just put it in their PlayStation 5 and not play it at 60 FPS. But I don't think 60 FPS is something that is super needed for the game. I mean, the game is already pretty much turn-based dungeon crawling and then day-to-day sim. I mean, the levels are pretty small and stuff. It's a very stylish and cool game, so I don't really think that resolution and frame rate are gonna do anything vast for
Substantial.
the game. So yeah, I don't just judging by that. Like, I wouldn't spend $60 on it, but because I'm a fan, I will. Does that make sense?
And okay. And Nate?
Yeah, I mean, I can't. Honestly, I wasn't surprised. It's it's like a known factor for Atlas. What exactly that entails, I don't know. Whether or not I'll get it, eventually, yeah, probably. But whether or not it's going to be day one, at least is a major factor. As a major factor for me is whether or not you could transfer your save, because I'm damn sure not about to start over in the midst of this 111 backlog I'm working on,
I'll do
Mm-hmm.
it.
plus whatever else is coming.
I'll do it. I'll play it all over again.
No, not that I won't. Period. But in the midst of when it's coming out,
Oh
like
yeah.
I'm playing Dio Field. I'm playing like I've got a ton of shit on my plate already. Like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just got Live Alive. I'm gonna have Xenoblade Chronicles 3 next week. I'm gonna like I'm already drowning. So it's like if I'm drowning in new experiences, like I'm not about to rush
Yeah.
to get that, which is essentially gonna be at minimum $29.99 come Black Friday, right? So, like, yeah, I could save a ton of money, not play something I've played 17 times already, and then start over and go from there. But yeah, like I said, not that I won't entirely, because I love the game, right? Like I've sat for multiple nights on end and watched Morgan play the game, and was just jealous because she was getting to play it and I wasn't playing it, which made me go back to my old save on Persona 5 non-royale to see where I was and why I stopped playing there and where could I go from there. So yeah, I definitely love the game a lot, but yeah, Atlas ain't about to play me after buying $200 editions of this game. Like, yeah, you gonna hold on for a second here if you're not at least gonna let me transfer my save. Like, because to me, that part is lazy. Like, if they don't let you transfer the save, I'm like, this is definitely the same damn game. I should be able to transfer my save, like, at the very least. Like, and at least if it's not mid game, like, let me transfer like a completed save. Like, recognize my prior completed save. Something, right? Like, give me something. So that's all I'm really asking for.
They're giving you a $60 price tag. Enjoy.
Oh yeah, and that's why their ass is gonna sit on the shelf till Black Friday while I play all these new experiences. So I mean, it's all good. Like what I'm saying, I'm not sweating it. I got plenty to play. But yeah, I mean, they really got to show us what else this is going to entail, because so far for something that's coming out fairly soon, I mean, they've been pretty quiet about in the entirety of what this is going to include, like full on. So, I mean, hopefully we get a little breakdown of something to really see what this is going to entail. And but like Deli said, see the footage. Let me see what I'm getting, and then we'll just go from there. But most likely for me, like I said, it's not unexpected. So I'll make the decision whether it's day one or not. Then most likely we'll all be playing 50 other games anyway. So yeah, I can foresee eventually all of us that enjoyed it picking it up, but there's going to be the difference between, is it Black Friday or is it day one? Because most of us are going to be playing new games. So yeah,
Precisely.
Yep.
Ghost, I know it's your favorite game of all time, so you're dying to play it.
That's a hard pass right there, buddy. I'm good on that one. Hard pass.
Real talk. If you had the time, you would enjoy it. No joke.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I don't do all that reading and I don't do all that reading.
Oh man, you're missing out.
Yo, are you kidding?
No,
2.0.
Like I don't want to have, like, saying, watch a game, having conversations. Like, I'm just a visceral person. Like, I want to be in the mix, in the action. And I'm not saying the Persona 5 doesn't have that, but I'm not for, like, when you told me to get Eodine Chronicles, I was like, okay. I was like, all right, I'll do the turn-based combat. But then I had all that talking and reading and interaction. I was like, I didn't even make it to the first combat. I was like, all right, delete. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't do all that, man.
Oh my god, I'm laughing so much because AD Chronicle is not even time-based. That's the funniest thing about it. You didn't even experience the game play. Oh my god.
Delete. I made it to that first little city and was like, oh, no, sir.
My man said they were talking too much.
Oh my god, that shows to me that you never touched a single JRPG in your life.
Yeah, I've yet to play, and I'm about to get roasted. I know Morgan's going to come after me. I haven't even touched Tales of Arise.
Oh, I haven't either. That's not that yet. Okay. Nah. I might be next.
Okay.
that was me and Stone on that one.
Okay.
Morgan, no. Okay. What's your thought?
Damn. Okay.
She's first. What? You wanna skip
that? No. Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
I'm waiting on her. R2K.
Go ahead.
Lady, dog lover, stray lover.
What's going on? Am I finally being acknowledged by the man? I can speak now. Hello.
I'm not sure. I can only assume you're not getting Persona 5. The remake.
Oh no! I mean, I got Persona 5 through the PS Plus collection.
Mm-hmm.
So when I eventually get to it, I'll just play that.
Play Royale. Don't play what's on the PS5.
Gotcha.
Plus, get Royale.
Okay.
Morgan?
Well, since I only have the only version, I don't know. I might buy the new version.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Morgan?
But I also haven't played it yet, so.
It's got all that
Gotcha. Morgan?
Okay, so listen, as someone who has just recently discovered her love of Persona and is now currently playing the game. As far as getting this upgrade, yeah, the news surprised me because I'm not really that familiar with Alice. That there wasn't going to be an upgrade path, but I don't know. I agree with Nate and Deli. Like it's gonna be, I gotta see. I have to see what is being added because honestly, to me, the current PS4 build, even though it's PS4, it works perfectly fine. Like I'm trying to figure out what exactly needs to be added to this to actually justify.
You're getting DLC and you're getting fast loading.
I mean, I had the deluxe edition, so I already have all.
Edition.
Yeah, so I already have all the DLC. So, I'm not really sure. Like, just to me, like it's already great. Like what Deli said, I don't think it needs. Well, I mean, 60 is always great. The more frames, the better. But I mean, it's turn based and it's a little slower pace, so it doesn't really need it, at least in my opinion. 60. So, I guess I'm just gonna have to see the gameplay and everything. But the big thing for me, like with what I agree with the Nate, like it's gonna be about, can I transfer my save? Because I'm already like 75 hours into the game right now, so it's just like, that's a lot of time, it's a lot of work. I love this game, but I'm gonna need the ability to transfer my save over to the PS5 version. That's probably going to make or break it. I probably will eventually buy it regardless, but it wouldn't be day one. Yeah. But like what everybody said, I need to see it. I need to see what's added, what I'm getting, what's new, what justifies this PS5 upgrade for me, at least.
Subjube, he's so busy with AI.
I'm here, dude. Be patient. I'm always last anyway, so that's why I don't bother.
Weeb's got to make his grand entrance.
Wait, you're last because you're literally at last. Like, well, you're before last now. Viper took your place. Be happy. But this is actually why I don't always go from top to bottom or from bottom to top. I try to change it between so everyone gets.
So you let Viper join, so I don't feel like I'm always last. Okay, thanks.
Go ahead.
No.
Wait, what? No.
I don't think I'm gonna get it. I've played Persona 5 once on a PS4, and I'm good. You'll probably roast me, but I think it's slightly overrated.
Ooh.
Why you gotta be like that? Oh man, breaking my heart over here.
Damn. Who is
Damn,
this Weeb? Where did he come from?
I forgive you. I still love you.
No, and how can we send him back? Because this shit doesn't fly here. It's very interesting. What you don't like? What is overrated about it?
I mean, I see what they did there. I like the style, and I'm not gonna knock the game. It's a great game. It just, for me, it didn't feel like there were some topics that were quite I don't know how, not very well handled in my opinion, and it just, the overall story is, well, it was good. There's also like, I never really felt like there was any sort of proper catharsis, proper resolution to me. And like I really didn't like that you basically played as if you want to play it properly, you're gonna play this with a guide because you need to know what's the optimal way to spend your time
Oh,
during the day.
you could do multiple
That's true,
playthroughs.
because I'm using a guide. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that I mean, I know that. I mean, look, I also like to get platinum trophies. I wouldn't call myself a trophy hunter, but I do enjoy getting them. So yes, I do use them occasionally just to check.
Mhm.
If I don't miss anything, that would force me to replay the entire game again if I want to get a plat. But if you have to play a game like that, it does take a bit of the enjoyment out of it. You don't have to, I know, and like, yeah, and you can replay the game, of course, if you want to. But for me, like one time was enough. I experienced the entire game, and like I said, it's good for what it does, but I'm not. It didn't necessarily turn me into a fan of the Persona franchise.
So you didn't play Striker?
I tried playing it, but then I saw they were doing essentially the same thing as with the entire management of your schedule. At least that was the impression I got from the short time I played it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not doing this again.
So you're not a fan of the whole school management and stuff like that. I understand.
Yeah.
Wait, so which version did you play? Weeb Royale or Persona 5? Just
no, it
standard.
used to be playing 5.
Just the base version. I had no interest in buying that again.
I wish you would have
You gotta
played
play Royale. It's so much better.
Royale. It literally nullifies all that extra bullshit.
Yeah.
You can there's so much more freedom. So I wish you would have had the opportunity to play that instead. That's why
Maybe
I
one day.
recommended all of them who hadn't started it to play Royale because I told Morgan and Stone was going to play 5 just as is because it was on Plus Collection. And I was like, no, you have to play Royale. Trust me.
Yeah, he was telling me all the things that weren't, while I was playing, all the things that weren't in the base version that I was using as I was playing, and I was like, oh my god, I can't imagine not having this move or this capability while playing this game.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, that's not in it. I was like, oh damn, no, I'm good.
It's a time saver. It's a time saver, and it adds new gameplay, not mechanic. Yeah, not mechanics.
Like that baton pass. The baton pass is clutch. Like I need that.
Yeah. Viper.
That was in the base game though.
Yeah, they modify it though.
They modify it.
They modified it.
They changed a lot of things like Royal. I believe, and this is just me, Royal should have been free or almost like DLC price for the owner of the original one, especially for the people that paid $200 for the fuck Giga edition. It's disrespectful, but that's just me.
Viper? Nah, that shit's crazy. But real quick before you go to Viper, I gotta go. It's time for Priscilla's race.
Yeah, so go ahead, do your outro.
Good luck, Priscilla.
Did you hear her? What? They all say good luck.
Thank you.
But yeah, so just you can find me on PSN at Innate or online in most places, or on Xbox at The Real Innate. Again, just keep it gaming, keep it moving. And now it's time to go drive out to the middle of the desert for a 6-hour race. Go ham.
Have fun.
Yep.
Yeah, be good.
Later, y'all.
Thank you for coming through. Viper, go ahead.
At the top of my all-time list is Final Fantasy VII. Number 2 is anything Atlas has made that is a turn-based RPG. That includes Persona 5, Shin Megami Tensei 3, 5, Digital Devil Sagas 1, 2, and everything that encompasses Atlas. So, with that being said, yes, I'm going to be playing this game. I am going to be replaying it from the beginning. I've platted the regular on PlayStation 4. I've platted the Royale. I plan on platting this one, and I'm not doing a save transfer. So.
Hey, okay, I see you.
Gotcha.
So we're starting from the beginning.
And
Okay.
with that being said, shout out to everyone that came through. This was a fantastic conversation. I misunderstood what what's called a remake is, and I apologize to Naughty Dog. I was wrong. Delhi, thank you for coming through, man. This was a great conversation. I would love to have you back here again sometime.
Yeah, Deli, come back.
Yeah, no problem. I know that you scheduled me like 4 months ago, but I've been crunching at work. So since I've been on vacation, I had some free time. So it was really, really nice to be able to be scheduled and on an awesome week with great topics as well too. Morgan, Weeb, Viper, Kay, obviously it's so nice to meet you guys and talk to you guys formally for the first time. Morgan, I've heard you
Nice to meet you
on
too.
Persona's Ladies Night. And
Okay,
I've seen
okay.
you out and about on the internet, but we
Oh
just
God,
haven't.
forgive me for my
We
trolling.
just hey, it's
Don't
okay.
judge me
yeah,
by that.
Ladies'
And
Night is magical.
yeah, so I've been able to interact with you guys through either Viper. I've interacted with you on through Scumcast and other podcasts and stuff like Weeb. I interact with you on Twitter. So it's really, really nice to be able to again formally meet you guys. But yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. I always love talking about games. Obviously, I'm very passionate about games. You guys can probably hear it from my voice whenever I speak about games. So it's just anytime that I get a chance to share my hobbies and passion, I'm more than happy to do it.
Yeah, thank you for coming through. Kahraba, go ahead, do your outro. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we hear you.
Well, it was a joy having you, Deli. Thank you for putting up with our antics. But
Yeah, it's a lot. We appreciate it.
I'm Kay.
I'm
You
still
can find me on
here,
Twitter.
though. I'm still here. I can hear it. At least send it in a DM or something.
Oh yeah, thanks for putting up with Omar. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
He
Kay.
can be a little much. Anyways, you can find me on Twitter at Kaylee, which is spelled KALEIGH1103. And Otter Nation.
Otter Nation, let's go.
Oh, Otter Nation, is this a gang?
It's an
Yeah,
otter
it is.
gang.
We rep them otters,
There,
yo.
is
You
there
know
a,
about it. We got
is
the
there,
flag and
is
everything.
there an initiation? Can
Nah, you can join.
Oh.
We welcome new members all the time.
Oh shit. Okay.
Omar tries to
would say
suppress
that-
us, but it's okay.
Yeah, being on the podcast was good enough.
Yeah, that's your initiation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right, cool. I'm gonna
you're
change
good
my
now.
Twitter name then.
Hell yeah.
Daddy is welcome anytime you want. You just need to hit me up and say I want to come this weekend.
Yes, please.
I interacted with Deli during the Persona conversation, and then Deli was on Ghost podcast, and we had a fantastic conversation, and he is always so passionate and honest. That's what I like about him. He keeps it real, no matter what, and that's what we need in the industry. And shit, I forgot to cover the entire topic that we came for, which is developers and publishers. Sorry, Deli.
No, it's hey man, another time. Yeah, maybe another time. But yeah, I'm on Twitter as Agent Deli. So if you guys see me floating around, you'll see my name and then hashtag Otter Nation.
Yeah.
My Twitter thing.
No, you didn't.
Let's go. Yes, please, because it pisses off Omar so much. Yes,
Sorry,
he got it in his
bro.
name.
Sorry.
Follow.
Sorry, bro. Like,
yes, you can't stop the
help.
movement, Omar. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than us.
Please tell me someone is holding a hostage, and you need me to send help. Come on.
Otter Nation's it's too big.
Sorry,
I tell you, you can't stop
Baby.
it. You can't stop
It's
it.
a movement. It's a movement. You need to get on the train, buddy.
Facts.
Damn, even you. Okay.
I mean, you're either on the train or you're on the tracks getting hit by the train.
Preach it.
I'm the dude that created this fucking thing, and apparently I'm not even the controller. Okay. Morgan, where people can find you?
Oh man, everybody, it's Morgan, aka Chill Bandit. Yeah, great podcast today, Omar. You did a good job. Even though, I had to come for you, it's okay because at the end, you're still my brother and I still love you. So, this wasn't the first time and it won't be the last that I have to come for you, Omar, but it's always with love. Okay. Just know that. All right. So, thank you, Deli, for coming through. Like, seriously, like your perspective was great. And I hope you come back, if we didn't scare you off. Shout out to my fellow panel members, as always. My fave people every Saturday talking with you guys is, always the height of my day. I can't wait to come in here and just speak games with you, my fellow favorite gamers up in here. And shout out to the chat, everybody, for coming through, stopping by. See you guys next Saturday.
Lady, you say every Saturday. Did you forget we are in the same group? We can talk all day,
Listen,
every day?
but I love coming up here and talking like together. Like we talk in the
okay.
group chat, but it's different. It's different, Omar. We get
Gotcha. Hey, I'm glad that you're enjoying your time. Because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
always afraid that people are waiting their time on here. Because,
Nah, ever.
3 hours, almost 3.5 hours. Weeb,
Oh, damn.
where
Again?
people can find you? Yep, 3.5 hours almost.
Shit went right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. Great. Yeah. I never know when you're finished, Omar. So I was holding off. No, but yeah, great show. Thank you, Deli, for coming through, and I'm very happy that you're now an official member of the Otter Nation.
Yes.
We welcome you, and you'll be receiving your starter pack soon.
Yeah, I need a hat
Mhm.
or a T-shirt.
Okay.
That's all
Yeah.
I request.
We'll hit you up for your your size later.
Oh, okay. Backward snapback gang.
Weeb and I actually have otter plushies.
Yes.
Oh, bro.
Oh yeah, I need to get
Yeah.
mine. Shit.
Yeah, let me cop.
I still stroke it every day. Oh, too much information.
Huh?
Pause.
Huh?
Oh man.
Oh yeah, outro. You can find me on Twitter as the Weeb Sheriff at Infinite Rhizome and on YouTube as well. I think I'm also now called the Weeb Sheriff on YouTube. I found how to change my name. And yeah, Otter Nation.
Otter Nation.
Deli, you had one job.
And I completed that job.
Facts.
Yes.
He failed at that job, Omar. Don't hate.
Did you guys talk behind my back or something like that? I feel like
No, it was like it was like social cues, man. Like I just read the room and I just felt like was compelled to be part of the Otter gang.
Facts.
Okay. Viper, help me. Save me. Come on. No other nation.
No. I gotta find out what it is first before I join. But with that being said,
Be like that. Join us.
Thanks, panel members. Deli. I'm at Reap Viper on Twitter. We're gonna go slither back into my corner. My grandma always told me, got 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as I speak. That's it.
Ooh.
Wise words.
Where people can find you? Give us your Twitter.
I thought I did.
He did, Omar.
Sorry.
He did. Listen twice
see,
as much.
He don't even take his advice. Y'all hear this?
No.
Oh,
Listen,
man.
He was blessing you, Omar.
No, let me explain something. This is what is called bad hearing. I heard him talking, but I didn't hear what he exactly said. So
I don't want to hear that excuse, Omar.
no,
How many times are you going to use that excuse, Omar?
Look it up. It genuinely is a thing. Which is
This man hears what he wants.
Not
Okay.
playing games while you're doing
Selective.
Selective.
At the end of the day, fuck uttergation, whatever it is.
Oh, damn.
I was about to say, man, I think you're the minority in this group.
Oh, man. And then he's going to say, Oh man, then you gonna get the name wrong at that. Oh shit.
Nah, I'm
Always
joking,
find
but
a way. It's
at
great.
okay, for the people that say other nations this, other nations that, drive it well so we can make money out of it. Come on.
He said, "Look,
Hold
it
on.
ain't." He said, "It don't mean nothing unless we making money."
It's
Yo,
not, man. It's not about the
this
clout
this
sometimes.
exactly. This is
Nah,
more than about the
nah.
Omar,
money,
do you,
It's
Omar.
bigger than the clout,
Omar,
bro.
do you
I can't
hate
believe you said that, Omar.
Mm-mm-mm.
do you hate otters, or are you just a contrarian within the group?
Oh, that's the only
I love cat.
requirement? Just
I
liking
love cat.
otters?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Oh shit. All right then. Bet.
Otter gang.
Oh shit! You're
No shit.
surrounded by the Otter Nation now, Omar. It's
Bye.
over.
But
It's over.
this is your second weekday, and you're. Oh my god.
Oh, Omar, my daughter loves otters more than I do.
Oh man, we getting the
I
children. Oh
knew the
shit.
second.
Yeah,
I
as
knew.
a girl dad, I can't deny my child.
I knew
Mm-hmm.
you were gonna fall the second I thought about your daughter. I knew your daughter gonna fall in. Your daughter
Sorry,
gonna
man.
fall in love with it. I knew it, and then you're gonna fall. But
Of
yeah,
course.
no. But this is what it is to be around with us. I fucking love this group. I am every single day thankful and grateful for all of you.
Oh,
Whether
we
you're
love you too.
new, whether you're a guest, I just like Daly said, I love talking about gaming. I love playing it more, but I'm gonna make an exception and play and talk about gaming for a change. But boy, people can find me at Caravan_Shihab on Twitter and Anime Squad and Gameplayer here, and of course Vitamin G podcast every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Jubei, Zero, Pharaoh, Dante, and the returning, whenever he come back, Kofi. And with that being said, shout out to Shat, and special shout out to you, Daddy, for coming through. Really great having you here. And other nation, good, whatever.
Hey,
Oh,
that's right, Omar.
hey.
Let's go.
He has turned.